Welcome to The Backlash, a weekly discussion about the past, present, and future of Western civilization. I am your host, Rebecca Hargraves, joined as always by Elton John.
What are you talking about?
By Mr. Dave
My name
Riley.
is Dave Riley.
He does not have AIDS.
I do not have AIDS.
He is not a musical genius on the level with Elton John.
Well, actually,
you're pretty good.
I went to college for music.
That is true.
I did.
That is true.
I went to one of the most prestigious music schools.
Go ahead and name drop it.
in the world. I went to Berkeley.
Yes.
Actually.
Yes, you did.
So I am quite talented when it comes to music. I am a musical genius. Don't know what you're talking about.
I stand corrected. And as always, Mr. Cameron McGregor, how are you doing?
I must have seen 10 or 20 Elton Johns meandering through Central Europe, which has been overwhelmed by an army of hipsters. They're like a virus, these people. They spread everywhere and they ruin all of my favorite cities.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
That's terrible.
I hope that Prague's looking good, though.
Cafes, kombucha, tattoo parlors, and people that look gender ambiguous.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
They do some things well. Handlebar mustaches, coffee, kombucha, which I love. Juice
I do
bars.
like their cafes. It's true.
Yeah, I like a few hipster elements. You can find us on X
Hold on. My head. I'm setting up all of the goals and all the streaming stuff and pinning all the tweets and doing all the hard work around here.
Okay.
All right?
I'm
So
a
just-
woman.
just
What
give
do
me a
you
minute.
expect? What do you expect?
This is what happens when you bring women in. You got to have.
It was Elijah. Elijah said on our episode on Monday.
woman zones.
No, he does not work with any women unless they work exclusively remotely.
Except for Sarah Stock.
Yeah, except for Sarah Stock. She is an exception.
That's true.
You can find us on X at Real Backlash, our website, thebacklash.net. Support us on subscribestar.com/thebacklash, patreon.com/thebacklash. Send your super chats that will be read live to thebacklash.net/superchat or our YouTube channel at Real Backlash.
Here.
Follow us on Rumble. That's Backlash Podcast. And I forgot to prep that we have an Instagram and a TikTok now. The I do not know.
True.
I don't know.
It's real.backlash on Instagram.
Check us out on Instagram. Real.backlash.
We now have the links on the website, so you can very easily click to the YouTube.
Oh, our Instagram's on there too.
The Instagram.
Awesome.
This is our Rumble, I believe, actually.
Cool.
Spotify, X. We also have a new little section under Support the Show, which should be working. A new merch section where you can buy a mug or an overpriced sweatshirt that says our podcast name on the front and back.
Is the back.net. There we go. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah.
Please support us.
So that
this
should
way.
be working. I might need to do something. We rolled this out on Monday and got zero orders. So it's okay, well, happy I didn't go all in on buying a screen press machine, whatever. But we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We always do.
We've got some things in the works over
Yes,
here.
we do. Stop rubbing your hands.
Rubbing my hands.
It's no good. We want to give a big thanks to Atlas Bullion, the premier gold and silver dealer. We're going to talk about them in a little bit. Idaho Tallow, that is skincare without endocrine disruptors, and Antelope Hill, the folks that will print literally anything. Thank you to our sponsors. We'll chat about you guys in a little bit. Let's do a little bit of Vance up front. Do you know what I spent this week doing? It is shameful.
Oh no.
No, it's
Lounging by the pool.
No, it's
floating
more
down the
shameful
river
than that. So after high school, I kind of gave everybody the big F you, and I just fucked off and never talked to anybody again. Right.
Yeah, right.
So it's been 20 years. I'm about to turn 38.
Old.
And it is true. I am old. And for some reason on Instagram this week, I just get inundated with suggested requests of people that I went to high school with. I have no idea why. I'm not in contact with anybody. I don't know why. And so I spent a lot of time this week catching up with people that I haven't thought about in 20 years. And you know what is the most surprising thing about all this? None of them are fat. No one is covered in tattoos. Nobody's life has fallen apart. They're all married to their first spouses, have beautiful families. It's like everybody's life is in order. Now, I know you can lie about this on social media, but I have heard horror stories about people's 20th high school reunions. And that's what I'm doing here. This is a surrogate 20th high school reunion just by following people on Instagram. Of people that have gained 100 pounds, that are thrice divorced, that are addicted to heroin. It was none of that at all. And so I was wondering, your experiences, have people fared well from your high school if you are still in contact with anybody? Because I'm the disaster
Is
from
this
my
an
high
actual-
school.
You're the disaster?
Well, I mean, they're like, what are you up to? I'm like, I have a very racist podcast and you can check it out, but don't send it to any of the people we know. And I heard a lot of people be like, I'm not easily offended. And then I go and I can tell they're like, you know, Christ first Protestant, Israel first Protestants. I'm like, ooh, man.
You would not like this.
I'm like, don't watch it.
Don't watch.
Don't watch it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't even really looked into anybody from my high school. I mean, every now and again, like I'll think of Philip LaBelle or like...
Well, don't put Philip LaBelle on blast.
Travis Martucci.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever been in a fight was with Travis Martucci in front of Wesley United Methodist Church in January, I believe it was. And I was like shit talking him.
Yeah, so you deserved it.
The shit talk that I came up with on the fly was douchebag McFaggot pants. That's what I called him.
Wow.
Real creative.
And then he kicked your ass.
Then he kicked my ass. One punch right in the face, out like a light, down for the count. I'm a pacifist, okay?
This is the least surprising story that I've ever heard in my life. You make up some gay insult and some guy knocks you out with one punch. It's the most Dave thing I've ever heard. Cameron, what about you?
I think I've lost touch with pretty much all of them. Yeah, and that includes my classmates from college too. So I don't know. I mean, I came from fairly elite schools, I'm sad to say. So the milieu I was in was just toxic. And my guess is that their lives are the exact opposite of your peers. My guess is that they're all drugged out, tattooed, bizarre, lefty weirdos, or maybe they're working for the State Department. I have no idea.
Interesting.
But yeah, I've lost touch.
See, the thing is, like where I came from, or at least where I graduated high school, Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, it's old like coal country. Pennsylvania, you know, you're in the mix with Shenandoah and like Fernville, you know, and it's like, it's a black hole.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is interesting though to see, you know, growing up in it, like we saw the town, like when you drove into Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania in 2001, right, you'd see everybody was white. They're out walking their dogs and they're all smiling.
Oh.
They're all like happy to be. Hello, neighbor. Oh, are you
Hello,
moving
white
to town?
man.
It's
Fellow
great
white
to see
man.
you. And now when you go there, most of the people walking around are black or brown.
Oof.
Anytime you see a white person, they look like they're on drugs or extremely depressed. And what has happened is the local nonprofits, specifically the university in Bloomsburg and then the hospital system in Danville, systematically ate up property in downtown. They started buying all of the what used to be like the old storefronts, right? And they removed from the tax basis. So everyone's taxes went up.
What a
because
nightmare.
the nonprofit now owns all of the productive land in
So it's
town.
probably a horrible place to live now.
Yeah, and people get shot there like once a week because the university's like, we need diversity. We need to make sure that we have equal outcomes for blah, blah, blah. So they start shipping in all these black kids from like Philadelphia. And
Great.
then they pair the black kid with a rich trust fund kid from New Jersey, right? And the black kid's like, well, shit, man, I don't have a BMW. Hey, yo, get Daryl on the phone. I need some of that dope, you know? And then they start selling drugs. And they start bringing the drugs to the white community and selling to the townies and stuff like this. And so it's just been an absolute disaster.
Wow, there's nothing like watching your beloved town just turn to shit.
Bloomsburg, dude. These people sucked. And in 2017, when it got canceled, they all turned their backs on us after we had served them for, you know, almost 20 years. Flood coverage, going to all the high school sports games and all this. You get called a Nazi once and boom, everybody's out for you.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
They get it. They deserve it.
That's true.
Unlike the community here in North Idaho.
That
which
is true.
Beautiful and very hot today.
And there
101.
are no black people.
Very few black people.
Right after I said that thing to Elijah, I saw a black guy.
Reset the clock.
I have
You
to
gotta
reset the clock. It was the first black person I have seen in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I looked at him and I was like, man, you ruined everything.
They got this new
And
one.
you guys just live in a parallel universe. I'll tell you.
It is like really funny because it's like you look at what's happening in the cities with all the diversity and like the stabbings and, you know, the rioting and all that. And then it's like you come out here and nobody's seen any of that. And so you're like, yeah, geez, these blacks are getting kind of uppity in the city, huh? What are you? What's wrong with you? That isn't all black people.
You guys are living in Whoville.
Yeah,
You're
I
living
know.
in the Shire out there.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about the movers that were moving me from Seattle to Coeur d'Alene?
No, I have
One
not
of the
heard
movers
about
was like a black guy. He was like an upper, like a middle class black guy with his white friend. They had started this moving company, and they actually had to stay overnight at one of the hotels to help with the move.
Mm-hmm.
So the next morning they came to move our stuff in, and the black guy goes, "Damn, this is like some Pleasantville shit." I know. I was like,
true, though.
That is a fact.
It is true. White picket fences.
The whole, what is remarkable, particularly if you travel across the U.S., you can find little pockets of Whovilles everywhere. In some cases, in very unpredictable places. Like I remember Orlando. Orlando is majority black and brown.
Yeah.
Okay. There are some very nice, very well manicured, practically all white neighborhoods in Orlando.
Wow,
And
that's shocking.
You will not find them. And there's a golf court, and you show up, and there's some white guy who works at the CVS. It's unbelievable. But then you go, a few miles, and you're in a parallel universe, right? So
that's how it goes. That's how it is in New York too. We're going to be talking Owen Schroyer and Alex Jones. Their spectacular split. I can't look away. This week's financial updates, protests in the UK and Australia. But first, is Trump dead? My little nephew texted me and he said, "Is Trump dead?" And I was like, "No, he's not dead, but he is in bad health." I think we can establish that. Can you pull up one? He has massive edema in his legs. There's a picture in here.
Dark mode is here.
Look at that. Look at those big legs. Okay, that is a sign of all sorts of bad things.
Cankles.
But it might just be, it's swelling, it's fluid.
Yeah.
It might just be that he's on his feet too much, or that they say it's venous insufficiency.
But what about that? What's that?
Yeah, that looks
Ooh,
like,
brother, what's that, brother?
they can cover up dark circles and tattoos with makeup. You're telling me that one makeup artist couldn't do a better job covering up an old man's IV bruise on his hands?
Looks like latex.
I don't know. That can't.
Also, why are you doing IVs in your hand? That's like one of the hardest places.
Because if he has venous insufficiency, have you ever been dehydrated?
Right for the,
No, if you're dehydrated and they can't. This happened to me when I was pregnant, and they couldn't find a vein in my arm, then they do it in your hand. So if he has chronic venous insufficiency, they probably couldn't find one in his arm, and they had to repeatedly do it in his hand. So I don't know. I mean, this doesn't mean he's like on the cusp of death, but like, he's an old man. He's almost 80. That is so old. Lest we forget that is older than the average age of death for a man in America. He's also not particularly healthy. It's something is up here. And so now we see all these shills coming forward, posting old pictures of him. He came out and says that this is fake news. Can you pull up number 2? Speculation about his health swirled on social media platform X this weekend, with posts citing Trump's lack of a public schedule late last week. And USA did an interview with J.D. Vance published on Thursday. When asked during the interview if he was ready to assume the role of commander-in-chief, Vance said he was confident Trump was in good shape, but also suggested he was prepared to step in if anything happened to the president. His physician, that's Trump's physician, said in a letter released by the White House that tests confirmed the leg issue was due to chronic venous insufficiency, benign and common, especially in old-ass people. The doctor said the bruising on his hand was consistent with minor soft tissue irritation. Listen to this BS. From frequent handshaking and aspirin use.
Minor.
He's just shaking too many hands.
Tissue irritation.
The thing about this is that if he really wanted to refute this, he would be out all week doing some big Labor Day thing, showing his face all the time, not just, popping out every once in a while. He loves to prove people wrong. So something is up here. I think that he's probably going to die. I mean,
this is what we're going to have.
Yeah.
This is it.
I love the JD Vance memes. Did you see that one of him all fat with the curly hair in the pool?
No, but I keep seeing
that's a good one. Yeah.
This one. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is interesting, right? He shook the Pope's hand, Pope dies. He shook someone else's hand, they died. Now he's like, Trump's vice president. It's scary. And yeah, there was this interview that he had done, and it was like day 4 or 3 or 4 of like not knowing where Trump was, not seeing him around. Everything on his calendar had kind of been canceled. And then JD Vance comes out with this like interview, like, yeah, I'll be ready for the president. If I have to take over, I guess I can do it. I've got a lot of on-the-job training.
That is his only job.
And it's just like, bro, 3 years ago, you weren't even a politician.
Yeah.
You were literally sucking Peter Thiel's trust fund dry. That's not what you thought I was
No, I really thought you were going a different direction with that. It's like, it's a little early in the show for this. We got to warm people up.
Yeah, But scary stuff, dude. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
If there's ever been a Manchurian candidate, like, I don't know which is worse, Lyndon B. Johnson or J.D. Vance. And J.D. Vance isn't even his real name. It was like David Bowman.
He's changed it a few times.
He's changed it like 3 or 4 times. Never worked a real job in his life. His little tour in Iraq or Afghanistan, wherever he was bullshit.
Yeah.
He was a public affairs officer.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think this is fake news. I think that Donald Trump's health may be fading. And we've talked about this on the show for the last 6 months. It's important to note that the presidency is a colossal force for anybody to deal with. And Donald Trump has been through the ringer for the last decade. I mean, when he started this whole process in 2015, he's almost been jailed. He's almost been assassinated multiple times. The amount of pressure on this man is immense. And yeah, I think it's very possible that behind the scenes, he's fading. Now, what I will say is, the most positive compliment that I've heard again and again from people who are close to Donald Trump or have seen him indirectly is that he's the Energizer Bunny. He's always on. And he has this sort of limitless, almost addiction, right, to be in the limelight and so forth. But that may now be working against him. I don't know. So I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think it's possible that J.D. Vance will end up as president. And if that happens, I do not think he will last either, given where we're headed. So that's something to watch out.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a sinking ship. I think Nick talked about that on his show a couple days ago. I mean, we're going to get into the economy, but it's all one giant clusterfuck. And, here's that interview.
As vice president, you're a heartbeat away from the presidency. And
literally,
your boss is one of the oldest people to ever be sworn into office. You're one of the youngest people to ever be second in line. Are you ready to assume the role of commander-in-chief? And why should Americans trust you to lead the country?
Well, I've gotten a lot of good on-the-job training over the last 200 days, but also say that the president is in incredibly good health. He's got incredible energy. And while most of the people who work around the president of the United States are younger than he is, I think that we find that he actually is the last person who goes to sleep. He's the last person making phone calls at night, and he's the first person who wakes up and the first person making phone calls in the morning. So yes, things can always happen. Yes, terrible tragedies happen, but I feel very confident the President of the United States is in good shape, is going to serve out the remainder of his term and do great things for the American people. And if, God forbid, there's a terrible tragedy, I can't think of better on-the-job training than what I've gotten over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That was a perfect answer.
Well,
so it is, but it's also, I think it's probably true. I mean, this is what I've heard about Donald Trump. It's also a very bad idea.
Yeah.
So when Dwight Eisenhower was president, for example, I believe he put it in his orders to his aides that he was not to be disturbed at night unless there was something urgent that he had direct control over. And the reason Eisenhower issued that order is because he'd been a 5-star general. He had had very stressful jobs before. You can't work yourself into a lather like that. But this is Donald Trump, a man who is not disciplined, a man who does not have a sense of balance. And I say this in part to our audience as well, because there is this cult of work addiction in the United States. Look, you want a fast track to middle age. You want to age very quickly out of your prime. Work yourself to death. Work 60 to 80 hours a week. I've done that. And I stopped doing it very early. You want to work as minimal as you can. You want to sleep as much as you can. You want to be more efficient. That, I think what J.D. Vance said is probably accurate. And that's why Trump is headed for a cliff.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I totally agree. This is only one of many reasons that people are off the Trump train. I mean, he obviously was too old to do the job effectively. We really shouldn't be voting for anybody that's older than, 65, I think, is probably pushing it here. So one of the many reasons that the dissident right has stopped this incessant worship of Trump, although I think it's mostly ideological, and we've seen this fracture with Infowars this week. I kind of couldn't believe, you called me to tell me about this.
It did.
I kind of couldn't believe this happened because Owen Schroyer, and I've had him on a few times in my old podcast. That guy, he's an upstanding guy. I've never heard anything bad about him. I've met him. He's like easy to work with, easy to talk to. Whereas I've heard horrible things about Alex Jones behind the scenes, who's a nightmare to work for, and he's totally erratic in behavior. So when I saw this, I immediately was like, well, I'm just going to trust whatever Owen says about this, right? Let's pull up this graphic.
We have a graphic.
I just had AF tweet, and it's 3.
No, that was it. I had that up.
Oh, sorry.
I already had that up. Pay
I'm
attention.
Sorry.
Pay
I'm
attention.
sorry. Owen Schroyer resigned from Infowars, alleging Alex Jones pressuring him to back off of criticism on Trump and to be less of a pessimist. Let's watch what Owen has to say about this. This is clip 4.
Clip 4. Boom.
Alex had been coming into my show and talking about how I'm negative and
bump
calling
that
me
a
a
bit?
pessimist and all this other stuff, which is fine. You work for Alex, you're going to get hit with it a lot. Alex is not easy to work for, and that's fine. That's okay. But, okay, he says I'm too negative. He says I'm a pessimist, whatever. I'm too anti-Trump. So I just said, all right, you know what? I'll just take some time off. I'll just disappear. And if Alex thinks I'm too negative, then maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Maybe I'm too negative now. Maybe I'm too much of a pessimist now. Maybe I'm too anti-Trump now. Whatever his issue was when he kept coming in the show, telling me I'm too negative, saying I'm a pessimist on his show, I said, okay, maybe he's right. I'll take some time off. I'll blow off some steam. I'll just get out of the ring for a week. And, maybe I'll come back a little more positive. And maybe there was a level of reality to that. And I think I did come back more positive. But
Mistake.
the same issues that I had started up immediately as soon as I came back. And it's not to say that I didn't have creative control over the Infowars war room. But I mean, imagine it's like somebody staring over your back 24/7.
Yeah.
And so every single day that I came back, it was either a guest that I was told I had on at the last minute, or it was, him coming into the studio. He wants me to cover this. He wants me to cover that. Or I have to host his show for him because he's not in. So there's nothing consistent for me. I couldn't do what I wanted to do, which I'll explain what I want to do in a second here.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple ways that somebody can exert creative control over your show. And one of those ways is to monitor what you're doing all the time, or to tell you not to say certain stuff, things like that. And it sounds like he was subjected to that. I understand that he was working on Infowars, but he had carved out his own thing there that he should have had total creative control over the war room. This is Alex Jones' response, just him losing his shit.
It's like Anakin Skywalker's become Darth Vader.
Can we sing a song?
Hey, when I go on the air, I'm letting you have it, Schroyer. You stabbed your brother in this operation in the back, and you're a fucking liar. Oh yeah, I mean, I agree.
I didn't realize how upset you were.
It's totally normal to
Poor Harrison.
go and do innuendo that you've been censored and controlled and got to go because you're talking bad about Trump and this stuff, and then later, hours later, go, oh no, he didn't censor me. All set up to boost himself off of lying about me. I don't ever get involved in infighting, but I've known somebody 10 years and they've been my friend, but he's gotten really dark, didn't talk to the crew the last 2 years. And so it's like a different person. I'm not here to be the villain for somebody's lie. So wait till you hear his phone call to me yesterday. He literally talked to me like I was a crack whore and he was a pimp. He's like, yeah, well, if you're desperate, pay me more, I'll stay. But I'm going to promote my new show on Infowars, huh?
Let's take the high road.
Really nice. I might do a week. I was like, man, this is really hurting my feelings, dude. No, it's all right. You don't have to come in. I hung up, started fucking crying. And then he goes on fucking air and lies about me. Fuck you, you fucking piece of shit. I won't fucking take people stabbing me in the back anymore. Fuck you.
Good Lord. You know, Owen Schroyer went to jail for January 6th.
Yes, he did.
And wasn't he working for Infowars when he was there?
That is correct.
Yeah, so he went to jail for Alex Jones. He's been fiercely loyal to Alex Jones for the last decade. In media, that's like 1,000,000 years.
Yeah. See, this is one of those funny things about doing a live show that I love. Because I completely fucking disagree.
Are you serious?
I'm on Team Alex Jones.
Absolutely not.
I am definitely taking Jones's side on this one.
Why?
Because, so first of all, there's this whole like, I remember my like dad called me and he was all like, oh, what do you think about this whole thing? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, you can tune into the show today and we'll tell you. But there's been like, obviously like a bunch of people thinking that this is just ginned up controversy.
No, this is organic.
To like get more eyeballs on Infowars, more eyeballs on Owen. I don't think that's the case, but I do. Like, I've been friends with the Infowars people for like going on 8 years now. And everyone that working for Alex is a pain in the ass, duh, but it's the Alex Jones show. It's Infowars. You're at like the
war room. The war room was
alt
not the
media.
Alex Jones show.
No, but the war room is a part of
The
Infowars.
Alex Jones network, yeah. But
Yeah.
But the pretense was that he would have creative control
And
over
he
his
did
own
have
show.
creative control, but at the same time, like if we had a network here where we had a morning show, an afternoon show, and an evening show, and then like, for example, Arval was in studio, which might be happening next Monday, by the way.
It is. He's confirmed.
Then I would be like, well, hey, we've got this guy here. Like, you should bring him on your show.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, Roger Stone shows up for a segment with Alex. Yeah, hang out for a bit and do a segment on the War Room or whatever. So I definitely, and I've been there, you know what I mean? Like I've been there working with the greats and, you're not getting the recognition or whatever, but, and it is really funny too, right? Cause like Owen is getting told off by Alex Jones, and then I got told off by E. Michael Jones. So like you would initially think that like Owen and I should have each other's back.
I know.
But no, I think that Owen wanted to do something that just wasn't what Infowars is. And then he got mad at Infowars for not being what he wanted it to be.
Well, maybe it turned into something else. Infowars has been, it's been having major financial problems. It's been a really stressful work environment. He's been loyal for 10 years. And he has been pessimistic about Trump, which is not a bad thing. I think he hasn't been pessimistic as he has been realistic about the Trump situation.
I just don't think that that's the real reason.
I think that definitely has something to do with it.
I think
I'm emotionally invested in it because this is what happened with my old boss.
Oh, okay. See, so you're projecting your onto it.
You're projecting.
I'm projecting my, with E. Michael on it.
Because there's more than one way to censor somebody, right?
Yeah, I guess. But like Harrison's been going hard.
Yeah, that's true.
Harrison goes hard as fuck and he doesn't give a shit. And, I think that because, like when I was working at Culture Wars, it's like I wanted him to be doing more, but it wasn't what he wanted to do. Right. And like every time we had like an increase in sales, Mrs. Jones would get pissed because now that meant more paperwork for her. So she didn't actually want the magazine to like blow up. And
but what
sell a
is
bunch of
Owen
books,
supposed to do? He's supposed to wither on the vine. He's a young man with a lot of talent and a lot of energy.
If I were there, I would have parted ways, kept it amicable.
He tried to keep it amicable.
No, he didn't. He came out and said that he was being censored by Alex Jones. And of course, in this day and age, being censored is what gives you credibility. Right, so it's like, I got censored for this thing.
I think he probably did get censored.
I don't think he did.
Cameron, do you have an opinion about this?
He wanted.
Cameron's like, I don't care.
I certainly do not. But what I will say is that the great Ralph Waldo Emerson said that every institution is the length and shadow of one man. Mm-hmm. Alex Jones, as Dave said, is Infowars. It's his length and shadow. But when we started the Backlash, I was somewhat puzzled that Rebecca and Vince asked me to join because I don't have a big following and I'm not really a social media person. I'm learning, from you guys. You guys are the veterans, right? But Rebecca said, I really would like you to join because I think you have a new idea or new ideas. I think that you think about things differently, so forth and so on. I think the landscape is changing. And that is absolutely the case. The media landscape, particularly the alt media, which birthed, 10, 15 years ago, that is shifting. And Alex Jones represents the old guard. And so to some degree, this feud, and I'm superimposing a broader framework on it, I don't know the particulars, but I do think that there is a shift and a new direction. And we're going to talk about more later in the show. But there is very definitely sort of tectonic plates that are shifting in the media landscape, in the political landscape, in the economy and beyond. And the old guard is having trouble understanding it because their frame of reference is 20 years, 30 years, 40 years old. And Alex Jones, like the rest of us, has fallen victim to that. That's my sense.
And I think he's taking it personally, which is why he's so upset about it. But, his kind of media is going the way of the dodo bird, and he has to accept that. And it's sad. It's like a ballerina aging out, it's sad. It's depressing for all people to watch, but you have to do it with grace. Otherwise, everybody just feels sorry for you. And is there anything worse than having pity, like widespread pity for you and your situation?
See, and so just to double back on what my take is on
You're such a contrarian.
I have to be.
No, you don't.
I have to be.
No, you don't. You're just wrong about this.
We can't just agree on everything. We have to disagree.
Yeah, but you're just being a contrarian for the sake of being a contrarian.
No, I'm not.
Alex Jones is
No, I am not.
Okay, I love Alex Jones and everything. That guy's fucking unhinged. He's unhinged.
He's amazing. He's bro, I have never had as much adrenaline in my body or my heart beat as fast as it was when I was standing next to Alex Jones at the Million MAGA March or whatever in 2020 in Washington, D.C. It was at Lafayette Square. And he's there and he starts screaming, 1776.
Okay.
And it's just holy
Your
shit.
cardiac boner for Alex Jones doesn't mean that. Oh, come on. He's never talked about the Jews.
Yes, he has. What
Not
are you
really.
talking about? He said it the day after 9/11. He's like, Israel's going to get us nuked, blah, blah, blah. He
Israel.
said that the day after.
Has he, nobody can tell me that Alex Jones in good faith has talked about the Jews without likening them to Israel.
Well, I guess
he's doing the thing. He's doing the Tucker thing.
He was talking about Zionists in Israel.
Yeah,
back
whatever.
In the 90s and the early
haven't we moved
2000s.
past this?
Yeah, we're talking
We're not
about
taking this shit. We're not taking this shit from Tucker, okay?
No kid, I'm just saying, he's Unc. He's like Granddaddy Jones. What
Yeah,
are you
I know.
talking about?
I'm
So anyway,
sorry.
the point is that if I were in Owen's shoes, right, this idea of the network getting taken away, getting shut down, getting bought out by the Onion and all this stuff, and you're just sitting there everything's in the balance. I think he's married and has kids, so it's I get it. That's got to be kind of difficult to navigate. And then it's okay, well, the federal government's just going to come in and shut Infowars down. So this is a peaceful way for me to leave Infowars with no bad blood, but then it doesn't happen. And it keeps not happening. And Alex Jones hits this incredible streak of luck where he's been able to keep Infowars, right?
Then Alex Jones should have been should have seen that he should let him go and done that fatherly thing is go forth and be the new vanguard.
I don't know. I mean, I think that he was talking about, if you go and watch his hour-long stream, which I did,
it.
I mean, I'm convinced by it. I am. I watched both streams. And then it's you see obvious bad actors.
Yeah.
Obvious bad actors coming out and then supporting Owen.
Okay, Milo's take on the fatherly relationship between Alex Jones and Owen.
The goofy fan fiction thing that he wrote?
That was amazing. Yeah.
That was fan fiction, bro.
There is some kind of king and subject relationship that they have.
Owen could have gone off without saying anything negative. I mean, even when I left Culture Wars, I never said a word negative about E. Michael Jones. Never talked about the raise issue that he never gave a raise, the pay, the work days, 14 hours a day working for him in his garage.
See, he's never talked about it.
I've never talked about this stuff until he accused me of being a fad and saying that I encouraged him to give a Nazi salute when I have the video evidence of me telling him not to do it.
People have to understand these things spiral out of control really quickly. This is exactly what happened with Matt Christensen. I wrote a statement that was very contained, I thought. And
you should have unleashed.
I should have just unleashed it. I mean, but Devin Stack helped me write that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Big shout out.
And I was like, this is perfect. Okay, so I released that statement without Matt's approval, and then Matt lost his shit.
Wow.
And does a 4-hour stream where he's showing text messages that he's cropped. Man. He's taking calls about me.
Oh my God.
It was just
I missed that. Where was I during this?
It was such a disaster. I'm watching it and I'm like, I can't believe that he's so unhinged. So I immediately went out and I was like, listen, your wife is Jewish. And I told every person that I know. Like every single person that I know.
That's true.
And it didn't have to be warfare like this, but these things, they precipitate.
Yeah. Listen, I think that I am still, and I tweeted about that. I'm excited for Owen to be off on his own and doing his own thing. I think it's great. I think having independent people out there, independent media is great. You know, I also think that Alex Jones is going to continue to be Alex Jones. And that's also great. And it's been great seeing him bringing on, you know, people like Nick Fuentes and others that have been talking the way that we're talking.
I don't know, man. They're toast.
He's a pipeline. He's a part of the pipeline.
No, I think that you're married to this 2017 idea of the movement and you're nostalgic, and Alex Jones is not offering the movement anything anymore. You know who is, though? Harrison.
Well, Harrison is a part of Infowars.
Yeah, but he's also his own thing. And the only reason that I even think about
this is why I'm saying, like, you know, Owen didn't need to go off and do Alex dirty this way.
He didn't.
I think he did.
Alex lost his damn mind. People were going to ask questions. He had to give a basic explanation of why he was leaving. And you're trying to tell me that Alex wouldn't have come out and aired all this dirty laundry anyway? That guy has no emotional control. He would have done it anyway.
No.
Oh my
God. He put out a tweet saying congratulations to Owen.
Oh, whatever.
And then he deleted it after he saw the live stream.
Alex Jones butthole. All right, whatever.
Listen, I want to get Alex on. We get Owen on. We get them on together. We all kiss and make up.
That is never going to happen.
It could on.
You think we're going to broker a relationship mending agreement?
Just make sure Jack Cruz is on that one too.
We could bring him in as a mediator.
Yeah, really. He can come in studio and not wear a shirt.
Have him come back. You know.
That is still our #1 episode.
Yeah, what a
by the way.
nightmare.
That was our #1 episode.
Elijah comes on. He's like, I'm kind of being mentored.
I want to bring him back. I want to bring him back.
Never. How do I even transition to a boring financial discussion now? I can't do it.
Well, I mean, you know, Jack Cruz was talking a lot about the imminent collapse of the global financial system and all of this, and that could make a good transition.
We'll use that.
Okay.
What he said. He said. Okay, let's talk about
news that actually matters.
I know.
Not petty infighting.
This is not petty, though.
What, the Alex Jones thing?
It's not petty. It's a changing of the guard in like the biggest dissident media organization. This is huge.
It's big.
It's happening everywhere. These shows aren't just falling apart for no reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, and especially on the left, I think it has a lot to do with like the USAID stuff getting cut. I think, you know, most of that leftist media was just bullshit cut out anyway. By the way, this weekend, speaking of all of that, is Pride in Boise.
Seriously? Oh, in Boise? Oh,
yeah, Boise.
Who cares?
Boise has June and September are both Pride months.
Whatever.
So, just saying. Big
what
Pride.
A nightmare.
Big Pride parade.
Can you pull up 6? This is 10-year treasury bonds in various countries.
Down in Boise.
Man,
Sweet
look
Jesus,
at this.
Mother Mary of Bethlehem.
So obviously, as treasury bonds become less desirable and more necessary for various governments, you see interest rates increase to offer an incentive. And look at this UK 10-year bond, 4.829%. Can you believe that? Let's look at 30-year government bond yields. This has an emphasis on the UK as an outlier. This is clip 7. Toast, man. All these countries are toast. We're toast.
We're toast.
That red line is still the UK. This kind of area is where the rest of the G7, except for Japan, are. And I think the striking thing we'll have to look at here is, in a period kind of around the pandemic, and actually for kind of quite a few years before that, look at where the red line is in relation to this area. So that's the highest, the lowest within the rest of the G7 minus Japan. The UK was kind of middle of the pack. And then suddenly,
look at that
around
COVID,
the mini budget,
man.
it kind of goes up above the rest of the pack. And that's the kind of moment everyone was concerned about. But since then, look at that red line. It's been higher than the rest. And now, I think the worry that people have at the moment is, look, we're a real outlier here. So our interest rates are going up higher than most other countries around the world, even though their lines are going up as well.
I might be preempting a chart that you've got to come, but I think just to add it, one extra point to add on this, ours is doing that.
Let's see why. Why is this? Can you play clip 8 on public finances? It's obviously due to spending. They're going to explain this in just 1 second.
Public finances, and what's going on with public finances is, well, this chart tells you a pretty stark story, okay? This is showing you the projections for how much tax revenue is going to come in the UK in the coming years and what's going to happen to spending, okay? And so up until recently, spending, that's the pandemic here, that little spike. Spending has mostly been above taxes, and that's why we have all these deficits. And the bigger the gap between those two lines, the more you're having to borrow. And the more you're having to borrow, the more people want to charge you for that borrowing. This is what's projected in the future. Have a look at that. Look at what happens to the gap between these two. And if you're kind of worried about the Chancellor being able to cut back on spending, then you get very worried about a line like that. And if we kind of break it down, the kinds of things that are responsible for this, we'll take that bar and we'll kind of disaggregate all of the things that are driving higher debt. It's health spending, it's pensioner spending. It's actually some of the things that the Chancellor says she wants to try and bear down on, but we know that she's struggled. So you've had all those U-turns about things like winter fuel. They've struggled to cut back on the difficult stuff, raising the question, what happens to that red line? What happens to that red line, and what does it do as well for the total national debt? Because if you take those two lines I showed you a moment ago, take one away from the other, work out what it means for the total national debt, the total amount that the UK owes, this is what happens. Going off into the 2070s, you are talking about a national debt that is higher than we have ever seen.
Unbelievable. So everybody's talking about the UK. France is also in major trouble.
Merde. That's the French word for shit.
Oh, is it really?
Merde.
So I didn't want to, I've been mispronouncing things. And so I was like, Francois Bayrou. And so I...
Woman moment.
Well, no. So I like looked it up, like how to say it in French. And the guy that said it, it was like so guttural. And I was like, Bayrou.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to call him Bayrou.
Okay. How do you spell it?
It's Bayrou. Bayrou.
Yeah, I don't know.
So French Prime Minister, Francois Bayrou, calls for Parliament to hold an earlier than expected vote of confidence in him. Let's play clip 9, then we'll talk about why.
Good morning, Rosie. Hi. You may be thinking sort of got deja vu here, literally, because we just had a vote of no confidence in the French government.
Yeah.
Why has the new French Prime Minister made this gamble and called the confidence vote on himself?
Well, essentially what he's trying to do is get a budget passed that his predecessor was thwarted by. You'll remember that he's the second prime minister for France in the last year since Emmanuel Macron made that fated decision after a dismal performance in the European parliamentary elections a year or so ago to then dissolve parliament, call a parliamentary election, and that delivered a three-way split. He initially put in place as a prime minister the former Brexit negotiator, Michel Barnier. He tried to push through an austerity budget. He went through 3 months of wrangling and eventually stepped down in December of last year. And then he was replaced by the 74-year-old François Bayrou, another, this time a stalwart figure who's been very much a sort of mentor to Emmanuel Macron. And he's made it very clear that he's in no mood for dilly-dallying for the next 3 months between September and December. What he wants to do is essentially play a political game of chicken and to say, look, I'm going to link this austerity budget to a vote of no confidence. So it's up to you, opposition parties. If you want to vote the budget down, you have to vote my government down. And then that is explicitly the choice you're making for the French people. More political turmoil.
Right. Can you pull
for
up
the moment, what we have...
That woman is so French. The Al Jazeera article, it's number 10. Mm-hmm. Financial markets were rattled after Bayrou's announcement on August 26th. The interest payments on 10-year bonds rose to 3.5% on Monday, higher than debt-riddled Greece's 3.36%, no matter what. UK was at, 4.829? What are Bayrou's budget proposals that are calling for this? At first blush, France's economy appears to be doing relatively well. The debt pile is lower relative to the size of its economy than in Italy, and the cost of financing the annual interest on its debt is well below that of the UK. But Paris is struggling to keep a lid on spending. Last year, France's budget deficit reached 5.8%. That's 169 billion euros of its gross GDP. The official EU target is no more than 3%, so nearly doubling the official EU target. Investors worry that France's persistent deficits will cause ever higher debt ratios and undermine its credit score. So his plan includes 44 billion euros in savings for 2026, 80% of which would come from spending cuts, such as reductions in public sector hiring, suspending pension indexation to inflation, and scrapping 2 public holidays. But people don't want that. But if it has to be done, it has to be done. So Cameron, after all that, what does this portend for the immediate future and for long term in Europe and in the US for that matter? Just answer all the questions. Just say all the stuff.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, I know that our audience, or at least I have gleaned that our audience is not too keen on fiscal measures and measurements and the specific numbers, right? So let's not talk about that. I am an investor, and I have been in the investing world a long time. In fact, I bought gold, I think, for the first time in 2011. Dave probably remembers that run up.
Yep.
And I bought at the peak right before it sort of corrected the next 5 to 10 years. Anyway, I have a friend who is a trader. He trades crypto. He trades, I think, in traditional markets too. But I've been sending him some material, and I'm in group chats with others that are in the market. And he responded, the world is fucked. That's what he said. What does that mean? That means riots in the street. But let me explain why all of this matters, how we got here, in a way that I think is a little bit simpler to digest, because this is the most important story we will talk about tonight. I know it's not the sexiest. I know it's not as entertaining as the palace intrigue at Infowars, but it is crucial because an atomic bomb of financial destruction has gone off, and we will soon feel the effects. Just one quick side note. The UK government owns $850 billion worth of US Treasury bonds. So if the UK government defaults, well, guess what, folks? We're short about $1 trillion. And we have to borrow $1 trillion between now and the end of the year, the next 3 months, just to finance the government through the end of the year. Okay. All right. So where did all this begin? Well, Herbert Hoover wrote a book about the Depression. And Herbert Hoover, for those of you who do not know, was a Republican president when the Depression hit. And you had the stock market crash of 1929. And his Treasury Secretary, a man named Andrew Mellon, told him, and this is what he recorded in his memoirs: liquidate labor, liquidate stocks, liquidate the farmers, liquidate real estate. Meaning, let the economy liquidate and restructure. Let the system sort of work itself out. Now, there's a lot of economic literature on this. Some will claim that didn't happen. Some will say that it did. I don't want to get into that. But The Grapes of Wrath, which is a book you must read if you have not read it, by John Steinbeck, one of the great American authors. That book came out in the 1930s, towards the end of the 1930s. That was all about just how bad the Depression was. That book was censored. It was suppressed. And John Steinbeck's life was threatened. He was called a communist. And it caused a stir in the country. Why? Because he told the truth about how bad the Depression was. The Depression nearly broke this country. And the mass mobilization that led to World War II is what pulled us out of it. However, there was also a new paradigm. There was a new consensus. And that consensus came from Lord Maynard Keynes, who, in spite of the fallaciousness of his theories, in my humble opinion, he was a very brilliant man. And he basically said that credit expansion performs the miracle that turns stone into bread. What he meant by that was that the government could more or less stimulate economic growth, that it could manage the macro economy. He's considered by many to have invented macroeconomic theory. And that was the beginning of a new paradigm. And there's all kinds of economic schools that emerged in the wake of that, but they all more or less agreed on the new paradigm. And the new paradigm is something called embedded liberalism, a welfare state plus some semblance of a market economy. Added to that, the central banks became the central managers of the economy. And in 1977, there was legislation passed that created what is called the dual mandate. And the dual mandate gave the Fed the power, empowered the Fed to manage employment, to maximize the full employment of the economy, and to control inflation, to maintain control of the money supply and long-term interest rates. And that basically meant that when we had inflationary pressures, as we did in the 1980s, that Paul Volcker jacked up interest rates. And if you look at the chart from the 1980s, you'll see that interest rates went into, I think, 19 or 20%, that range, to combat inflation, which was largely a byproduct of spending on Vietnam and the Great Society, neither of which we could afford. And that's in part why we came off the gold standard. At the same time, when you had economic slowdowns or you had a crisis like we did in 2008, like we did in 2020 during COVID, the Fed and other central banks around the world who operate exactly the same way on the same basic paradigm of embedded liberalism, social welfare state, plus some market forces, they would print large amounts of money. They would lower interest rates, they would buy assets, and they would essentially stimulate growth. Well, ladies and gentlemen, since COVID hit in 2020, we have printed an ungodly amount of money, but there's a massive problem. That is that we have inflation that is rising, and we have growth that is anemic. It's dead. And now the Fed is stuck, and central banks around the world don't know what to do. At the same time, there's a ton of debt that's just piling up. And if you look at the national debt clock, you can watch in real time the destruction of the monetary base of the United States and, frankly, of the world economy. So where are we today? We are at the end of a paradigm that goes all the way back to the Depression. And the elites, I know everybody likes to use that stupid term, elites in name only are intellectually bankrupt. They have no answers. And so now, for the first time in 30 years, there's been dissent on the Fed Board of Governors. There is real befuddlement about what to do, because the only answer is structural adjustment, is structural reform. And that is a very nice way of saying that grandma's Medicare is going to get cut, that pensions are going to get cut. And it's going to happen not in some kind of premeditated plan, not with some elegant scheme that puts us on the glide path to recovery. No, it's going to happen like a heart attack to the system. It's going to be a financial heart attack. And we are now knocking on the door because interest rates continue to rise regardless of what central banks do. And inflation continues to rise no matter what central banks do. And stimulus is now radiating the patient and is worse than the actual cancer that has infected the host, right? So this is where we stand. There are no more answers. There's nothing else, more or less, that the monetary authorities can do. And so we are headed for the French Revolution. Something of that magnitude is what is coming. And the last time the world really faced a financial crisis of this magnitude, that is exactly what you get. That is what you are going to see in France, England, and the United States. And one other thing to note is that it's all interconnected. So if the UK goes down, that is a sovereign nation that is in default. That means that other sovereign nations will also fall like dominoes. We're talking about the end of the European Union. We're talking about the end of the Fed. We're talking about an end of cycle event that is going to change the economy and the world forever. Now, I think this is going to be a good thing, but you can imagine that unrest on the streets will get unbelievably bad in the near future.
Yeah, and I'm seeing an astronomical level of denialism from the general population. I heard somebody say, I was listening to videos about this, I heard somebody say like, well, how bad do you think it's going to get? Like 2008? It's like, well, no, people were able to bail out. The government was able to bail out the banks in 2008. Who is going to bail out the government? No, like that's it. It's game over when this happens, and it's going to be painful for everybody. Is that a Zimbabwe?
I've got props.
You got props?
Some props today. Yeah.
What is that? $1 trillion bill?
No, this is, I didn't have that much money, but yeah, this is let's see, it's going to be blurry.
What is it? Rhodesia, Zimbabwe?
That's a $1 million bill. I am a millionaire, everybody. This is a $1 million note from the Federal Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. They went up as high as $1 trillion notes. Got to shout out River for sending that to me, by the way.
That is really cool. Can I look at that?
Yeah. But I mean, I was going to add to this conversation a couple of things that I've been seeing over the week. Oh, hello. Book fell over. This is China's consumption of gold. If you can see on the chart, it's very low, it's very low, it's very low. 2024 hits, and it has gone through the roof. It's the hockey stick doesn't even begin to explain this. So China's been loading up on gold like never before. Lumber prices just crashed. They hit their lowest point in a long time, I guess in a year. It's down around where it was almost pre-pandemic. United States has more unemployed people than job openings for the first time since April 2021. That's going on right now, and you can see in this chart, blue is unemployment level, red is the number of job openings, and you can see that job openings have they peaked in 2022, and they've been going down ever since. What else happened this week? There was also this. This is the credit delinquency rate on mortgages of office buildings. Mm-hmm. They are the highest that they've been since 2011.
Right.
Which is really out of control. What else do we have here? Then there's this piece, which I thought was interesting. It was McDonald's CEO went on MSNBC to talk about their menu because it's stupid. I mean, I took my family out to McDonald's the other day. 2 adults, 2 kids. We got 2 Big Macs and 2 Happy Meals, $45.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I remember growing up and my mom telling me, like, they would go to, was it Burger Chef or Burger Shack or whatever it was?
When I went to the A&W, I could flip them a nickel.
Yeah, no, for real. It's like, you know.
That was my mom, not your mom.
Right, well, but I mean, it's like 15 cents. You get a milkshake, a fry, and a hamburger for 15 cents.
Yeah.
And that's what it was like when they were growing up. And now here we are. The same thing will cost you $20 at McDonald's. It's just absolutely crazy. And then there was something else that I had here. I wanted to bring up. This was from debtclock.org. Cameron,
I can't even go to this. It's
Cameron mentioned
so
it.
stressful.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I remember when looking at the U.S. debt clock, and it's like, oh, wow, we all owe like $40,000. Individual debt now is over $100,000 per U.S. citizen.
What's the UK public debt to GDP ratio?
Well, that's exactly what I was bringing this up, right? We are currently at 100% debt to GDP, which is not good. Japan is at almost 300% debt to GDP.
Is that because of like quantitative easing 97?
Yeah, I mean, it's because of the yen carry trade, among other things. But then France,
UK,
124% debt to GDP. UK, 114% debt to GDP. Italy, 160% debt to GDP. Canada, 120%.
Australia, 61%. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, good old boys. Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah, but okay. I do want to say,
Ireland,
because
not bad.
all of that information, it's vital to understand. And when people try to wrap their minds around this, inevitably they come to some very dark conclusions. However, I have said this before and I will say this again. I think that this financial endgame is going to save Western civilization, because you are going to see populations across the West who have bemused themselves over the last 50 years that this pluralistic, multiracial, multicultural experiment and the Zionists, among others, who have imposed it upon us, that this can persist. And why have they indulged in that fantasy? Because their standard of living, and when I say they, largely speaking, I'm talking about Gen X and the baby boomers, their standard of living has more or less remained intact, while succeeding generations have gotten smashed, okay? This is a necessary cathartic purge that will disentangle us from the Zionist bankers who have more or less ensnared the entire world in a dollar virus, as I've called it before. That will be jettisoned. And you are going to see the emergence of nationalism that I think is going to dwarf what you saw in the 1930s, and maybe even what you saw in the 1790s in France. This is where we're headed, okay? And notice that what's happening in the bond market, what's happening in the real economy is mirroring the unrest on the streets. They're both moving together. One is catalyzing the other. This is where we're headed. This is going to save Western civilization. We are going to get control of our government. Again, we're going to expel the foreigners that are overwhelming us, and we're going to reset the system. This is necessary.
I was going to say, just to kind of interrupt you, which I do frequently, this is an interesting chart from someone whose name I'm not going to try to pronounce.
Mohammed.
Yeah, it's Mohammed Al-Arian. Yeah.
Is he smart?
Yes.
Okay, good. I follow him. So good job, me. Direct holdings of gold now exceed those of U.S. Treasuries, which is this has happened for the first time in 30 years. The reason that that's important is because people are running away from U.S. Treasuries. We've weaponized them. I mean, you have to say it every friggin' episode, but what we did to Russia undermined the dollar in a way that it's never coming back. The cat is out of the bag. We've revealed that U.S. dollars are a weapon, and everybody's dropping them. If you look at gold demand, this is from usdebtclock.org, China is just kicking our ass. 36 million, I believe this is, ounces. Okay, well, not in tons, so that's good. But still, I mean, you can look at this, and these countries are just loading up. They're loading up on it. And it's because we're going to be going away from fiat currencies. We're going back to sound money, and it's going to hurt.
It is going to hurt
if you're not ready for
and
that.
Just two other things I want to mention, because I'm anticipating comments, and I see these in my videos all the time. And this is sort of reflexive. This is a reflexive talking point from people that really don't understand the system. And the reflexive talking point is, well, we can just print. We can just print. We cannot just print. Why? Because, as Dave said a moment ago, what is the dollar? It is a network. It's only as valuable as the number of nodes in the network. Well, as we're going to talk about in just a moment, there is this thing called BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, among others, of major powers around the world who are decoupling from the United States. And Trump, in all his wisdom and bluster, is accelerating that process. That's one. The other is this. From the 1980s forward, we've been in an environment in which interest rates have been low. And as I said, we've had a tremendous amount of fiscal or financial stimulus. But what has kept inflation at bay, what has kept interest rates low and subsidized government spending, has been foreigners buying U.S. dollar-denominated assets. By the way, the same applies in the Eurozone. In other words, you have lots of sovereigns in the East that have been buying our debt. That is over. They are net sellers of our debt. This is the end game. And the final point I want to make here is that if you go back to 2008, which is really when the whole system should have unraveled, and obviously that was thwarted because of corruption at the highest levels, led by the banking class, and condoned, encouraged by our political class. That should have been the end. It was not. But from 2008 to today, there hasn't been any real economic growth. We have basically experienced asset price inflation, and the only growth in the world has come out of China. So China's growth, coupled with foreigners buying our debt, is the only thing that has kept us afloat. Not Federal Reserve money printing, not monetary magic, okay? Those dynamics are now changing. And as a result, interest rates are skyrocketing, and we are in the debt doom loop.
Yep.
I have something of a probably stupid question, but who would even buy our T-bonds at this point?
Well, it's funny that you would mention that, because there's really only one group of people that is interested in buying T-bills. Ask.
Who is it?
Tether.
Oh, really?
Tether. Tether and...
Is it because of the stable coin?
U.S. dollar stablecoin businesses. Tether is the most profitable corporation in the free world. And they've done that. They've done that by building their stablecoin market, where they buy treasuries, collect the coupon, issue digital tokens, and then people use that to trade in and out of Bitcoin. That is not
Tether is.
It's not enough to prop up our economy. We've run through it before on the show. Saifedean Amu, big shout out. Need to get you on the show. He's done some analysis of even if stablecoin, if the markets grew by 60%.
Oh, I remember.
Every year
that they could only cover.
They'd only cover 5% of the national debt.
Right.
So the Genius Act and all the people that are thinking that that's going to save us, it's not going to save us. I want to do 2 commercials, not because we get paid for them, but because I'm dead serious.
We're not doing any commercials we're not getting paid for.
Well, I mean, I guess
we get
they're
paid
not.
for them
They're not
later.
really. What do you call it? They're commission based. But at the same time, we're not saying this to freak you out. I'm freaked out anyway.
I'm also freaked out.
But the point is, you need to get some gold at Atlas Bullion.
Oh, I thought you were talking about potential commercials.
No. I'm saying if you want to buy gold,
Now
if
is
you've
the
got
time,
money
yeah.
to buy gold, I know it's at an all-time high. Let me pull up. Here's the thing. Here's the chart. Let's look at the chart. Boop-a-doop. There's the chart.
Man, I think it's going to hit 4,000 imminently.
Yeah. This is the all-time chart. Obviously, this is the top that it's ever been, but it's going to keep going up because there's no amount of. They're not going to stop printing money. They are not going to stop issuing new debt. They can't stop issuing new debt. If they do, then the government's just going to disappear. The government's not going to try to do that. Anyway, yeah, gold's at an all-time high. I wanted to buy this week. I fucked up. I didn't. But look, it's if you're talking about trying to like hold on to your wealth for longer than like 60 minutes, if you want something to give to your kids when they grow up, if you want to be the opposite of boomers, start buying gold now because this number is going to keep going up. I've heard people unironically floating $10,000 and $20,000 price predictions for gold, and that's not even counting whether or not we revalue it. Because right now on the books, it's only valued at $42.40 per ounce. So like gold's going to fucking rip.
Do you know why I think our audience doesn't care about the financial discussions? Because I don't think anybody has disposable
Has that
income.
much money that they're afraid to lose. Yeah, no, I get it. But so blah, blah, blah. Visit our friends at atlasbullion.com/backlash. We've got a link to them on our website. You can start stacking. If you've got 10 grand in the bank, don't buy $200 worth at a time. Just buy a couple of ounces. Call Kenzie at Atlas Bullion. You can even get your kids to start stacking. But also, I have to mention this because if gold is going to do well, then Bitcoin is going to do even better. And right now, so when you buy Bitcoin, you can use River. We have a link to that on our website. You can get like $100 of free Bitcoin if you sign up and buy blah, 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 right? But you need to take the second step, which is removing your Bitcoin from the exchange, right? This is, I know Cameron and I have talked about the COMEX issue here where you've got like these gold ETFs and silver ETFs, and they're trading paper IOUs back and forth, right? In some cases, I'm hearing that the gold and silver they have 300 times as much paper as actual gold and silver backing it up. And with all of these Bitcoin treasury companies that are coming out, MicroStrategy, 21 Capital, and all this kind of paperization of Bitcoin is going to happen again. You want to take the Bitcoin off of the exchange and into self-custody. To do that, there is no better way than Blockstream Jade. It's a hardware wallet. It's air-gapped. You can do it, use it without ever having it touch a computer. They've got 15% off the black one right now, but only the Negro one, only the black one.
Are they letting you say this?
I have no earthly idea. But you can get to them on our affiliate links on our website. You can hit buy Bitcoin hardware, and that link will help us out if you decide that you want to do the Bitcoin thing. But anyway, that's the 2 commercials that I wanted to do.
Yeah, there's only one other thing I want to mention on this before we move off. Just very quickly, who is it that's buying our debt and owns? I think the largest share of it are the pension funds. Dave, you can check me on that. Mm-hmm. But the pension funds own a lot of U.S. Treasuries, Rebecca. And who is the government, specifically the Fed, going to find that's going to absorb all this toxic debt? Well, if you read the Fed documents, It's the banking system. So basically, the Fed is going to buy as much as they can, but they're going to feed a lot of this toxic debt to the banks. That means that you're going to see bank runs.
Yep.
And a classic example of this is Bank of America. Bank of America has almost $1 trillion in unrealized losses. That means that Bank of America, as we're speaking tonight, is bankrupt. The final thing I want to mention is that people that consume our product, and I see this a lot in the comments on my YouTube channel, it's I think, practically speaking, boilerplate understanding in the alt-right or the online right community. And that is that propaganda is surgical, that it is an output, it's not an input. So I can generate whatever I want in people in an Orwellian fashion. I can create fear if I want to create fear. I can create panic if I want to create panic. Well, if you study psychology, there is something that comes from a very good book. I think it's called Emotions Revealed, written by Paul Ekman. It's called the refractory period, the emotional refractory period. When you feel an emotion like fear or panic, and you are in the refractory period, in other words, you're freshly feeling that sentiment, everything that you experience stimulates that same sentiment back to you. So in other words, if I'm in an angry state and I just went into that refractory period, in other words, there's a period of time within which I have to digest that emotion. Somebody could come up to me and say, you just won $10 million, you're rich for the rest of your life, and I'm going to get angry with them. The reason I say that is because very soon you're going to see market sentiment shift, and people are going to get scared. They're going to panic. And whatever the government does, whatever the monetary authorities, the central bankers, the chairman of Fed, whatever they say to calm the masses is going to accelerate it, intensify it, exacerbate it, because we're going to be in the refractory period. We're not there yet, but we're going to get there. And when we do, that's when you're going to start to see a fire sale. You're going to start to see things go into hyperdrive. So just bear in mind that you have been accustomed to a frame of thinking about the world that's rooted in an assumption that the elites propagandize with surgical precision and control the population. That paradigm is about to flip.
On an individual basis, do you think that we should stop ourselves from making any financial decisions while we are in a refractory period?
Yes, absolutely. And this is one of the reasons why people lose money, right? Because they get emotional and they start making reactive decisions. What you want to do as much as possible is have a plan, and you stick to that plan, and you try to suppress your emotions. That's very, very difficult to do. But if you understand what we're talking about on this program, and you do a little bit of prep work, and we've talked about how you can do that before, evaluate the bank that you're using. I mean, really, talk to the bankers. You can go to your local branch, find out how much cash on hand you need to pay for groceries for 90 days, right? Something of that nature. Have gold and silver. Have money that's outside the banking system, because when these things start, they happen very, very fast, and your capital, your liquidity can be locked up. Your life savings can disappear. I mean, this is no joke. This is what happened in the Depression. That's why I mentioned it earlier. That's why I talked about John Steinbeck. And I mentioned the blowback that he got, because things get very shaky and fragile, and all manner of disruption can happen. So have a plan, because if you fall into the refractory period, you're going to make poor decisions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that especially happens with people when they're like shitcoin gambling.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit! It's like, they'll see all the meme coin went up 1,000%, and they go, oh damn, I was in Pepe coin, I should be in fart coin, and then they sell all their Pepe coin and go into fart coin, and then fart coin rugs, and then it's like, oh, I should have been in PP coin, or what I mean. Or,
I did that with Bitcoin too. Yeah.
And you've got to have conviction. You've got to is the government going to magically cut the budgets, cut the pensions? I mean, I know in Idaho there's a push now for widespread pension reform. It's out of control. The amount, I think it's over 50% of the budget at this point is just paying pensions, and every year it keeps going up and keeps going up. They haven't reformed any of it. There's no way that can get paid out even now, let alone in another 10 years when the state of Idaho has, 4 million people in it? We're at 2 million now. They're projecting that we could have up to 5 million by 2060.
Good grief.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really bad. And so you've got to think about for the first principles of it. They are not capable of stopping themselves from printing money. Whether or not we're going to have dollars or something, gold, sure, Bitcoin, sure, silver, sure, lead, bullets, absolutely. And this is one of the, not to freak anybody out or whatever, but I did have a priest that was slightly involved with the Rhodesia collapse. And what he said in that country, when the currency collapsed, it didn't even actually go to things like gold and silver for barter.
It was tradables.
It was Bic lighters, cigarettes, those little 1 ounce bottles of like vodka, they're called nips or whatever. Vials of penicillin, cans of tuna. That's what wound up essentially being the currency for a period of time during the crisis. So,
before we move on, is there some hope on the horizon from the imminent transfer of wealth from the boomer death?
Not real. I mean, speaking of Jack Kruse, his theory is that COVID was designed to kill old people to free up, because as soon as you free up their pensions and their IRAs, they have to pay taxes on that. So that's a way that they can get tax money, but that's only going to happen basically if you just like wipe out the old people.
That's a stupid theory.
It's an interesting theory.
Look, the prime minister of France, who's about to be removed from power because he's going to be voted out by the left, right? I mean, there is no left. There's really no right in any of the Western countries anymore at all. They're all socialists, right? They all accept the paradigm of embedded liberalism, as I described earlier. But the prime minister is going on YouTube, and he's making YouTube videos about the French budget, all right? Now, I mention that in part because that is somewhat of an homage to Jacques Necker, who was the finance minister under King Louis XVI, right before the French Revolution, and he did the same thing. He was the first to publish, I think it was called The King's Secret, basically a budget of where all the money that the royals controlled, that the Bourbon kings controlled. And needless to say, it caused an uproar, right? Because at the time, it was very similar to what we're experiencing today. It was a grift machine. And the money that was taxed, and remember, the aristocracy paid nothing, that money was disappearing into all kinds of estates and they called it ministerial despotism. It was a grift machine. Well, we're in exactly the same position. And Jacques Necker was proposing budgetary reforms, and he was ignored. And we know the rest of the story. You get the French Revolution. And the French Revolution came because the price of bread just got a little bit too high. And it is important to know, we look back today and we say, oh, well, that event was inevitable. It was not inevitable. And most historians will tell you that in 1789, at the beginning of that year, and France had been through a lot. They'd had royals assassinated, before Louis XVI, but they'd never experienced anything like the French Revolution. And France at the time had the largest middle class in Europe. It was the most powerful monarchy in the world. If you've ever been to France, you'll see that the true provenance, the esteem of France as a monarchical power. I mean, it was unprecedented. Nobody thought that the monarchy would fall and that a king would be decapitated. And yet that is exactly what happened. So today, when you talk to people and you consider the broad spectrum of consequences that we're facing, very, very few people are telling you what we are tonight. They are saying, oh, well, the government will figure out some way. They will muddle through. They'll kick the can down the road. Listen, I'm telling you, that's not the way this is going to go.
Yep. Let's see how this has hit the streets. Can you pull up graphic 11? This shows how much protests have picked up in the last few years in the UK. It's unbelievable. Police across the UK have dealt with more than 3,000 protests over 3 months this summer, more than 3 times as many as just 2 years ago. There were 3,081 protests this June, July, and August across England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. Figures from, the National Police Chiefs Council have revealed. So you can see just how much this is culminating, and we'll see what the outcome is. I mean, I think it's just going to continue to be worse. Yeah. So what precipitated this specific round of protests, at least these last few weeks? It was the Epping decision. Can you pull up 12? Mm-hmm. I'm sure you guys have been following this, but just a brief rundown. Britain's Court of Appeal on Friday overturned a ban on asylum seekers from being housed at a hotel northeast of London, apparently a very nice hotel, that has been the site of protests for weeks and has become a political flashpoint across the country. The 3-person panel backed the Labour government's appeal against the temporary injunction granted by a high court judge last week that would have required the 138 asylum seekers currently staying at the Bell Hotel in Epping, Essex to leave by September 12th. The government was particularly worried that the High Court decision, now get this, could have been a catalyst for other similar decisions, so this was about precedent, around the country, which would have thrown its policies for housing asylum seekers into disarray. A few of them had sexually assaulted minors because there's a school right next to it, right next to the hotel. The judge also warned that the ruling last week in treating protests as relevant risked, quote, encouraging further lawlessness. So this is how they're making their decisions. This is how they're making their, because they want to prevent future protests, in turn, creating more disdain for the High Council and creating more potential for protests. It's retarded. Yeah, they're in a feedback loop. Average Brits are just disgusted with the situation. They see what the government is doing to them. Let's pull up 13. This is Patrick Christie's. He believes Britain has entered a dark time after the Court of Appeal ruled in Epping Hotel, and he's speaking to, he's on some sort of panel where he's speaking to average Brits.
I naively always thought that governments were elected in order to implement the will of the people as per their manifestos. Now, we have a government that's directly acted against the will of its people, whose recourse was then to go to court. The government then had the contempt for those people to appeal against that court judgment. That not just shows contempt for the electorate, it shows really a kind of contempt for the idea of democracy itself, in my mind. And just one other point I'd like to make as well. Earlier today, Earlier today, I heard that the police had said that they would not provide any kind of police presence for the school run to allay the fears of the parents of children going to and from school because an offence had not been committed and they wouldn't police it. But they seem to have unlimited resources to make people go home at 9:30. They're setting up a law.
Yep, absolutely.
They're setting up that deadline for people to...
So they'll preempt the potential crimes of average citizens in the UK, of white people, but they're not going to do anything about the migrant crisis. It's just unbelievable. So let's see, what is the UK? What are they spending their precious time and resources on? What are they spending it on? Let's pull up 14. They are spending it on arresting people for speech violations. The UK free speech crackdown sees up to 30 people a day arrested for petty offenses such as retweets and cartoons. I wanted to read a little bit of this because some of these instances are just shocking. So this chick, she'd end up being detained for 36 hours in July 2024. 3 girls had just been murdered in Southport, but Bawforth was not under suspicion for the crime, instead horrified in the fog of the developing tragedy. She'd reposted on X another user's content blaming newly arrived migrants for the ghastly crime, clarifying in her tweet if this is true. Hours later, she realized she had received bad information and deleted the tweet, but it had already been seen. And then she was arrested. 4 police vehicles arrived at her home days later, and she was placed under arrest. Also, Maxie Allen, a radio producer, was on a Zoom call at home when he saw police standing over his shoulder. From the camera view in his screen, 6 officers came knocking, and his partner, who answered the door, thought their disabled daughter had died, to haul off the couple over comments they posted in a private WhatsApp group for parents at their children's school. In the chat, the couple had been repeatedly critical of the public school's slow pace to recruit a replacement head teacher. It's shaken the faith of the country I thought I lived in. I never imagined that just by airing your views about how an organization was run, trying to hold people to account in public office, that you get arrested for that. Unreal. In a private WhatsApp group discussing their children's education. And I'm sure you guys have all seen this story. Can you pull up 15? This comedian banned from posting on X, and the stuff that he had written was tame. I didn't put it down, but he said, if there's a trans person in a women's bathroom, like, first you need to alert people, then you need to try to run, and if that doesn't work, then kick them in the balls. And then he can never post on X again.
Wow.
Arrested him for 3 posts that he had made. He's a comedian.
Unbelievable.
This is what they're spending. They don't care that little white girls are getting raped and murdered by migrants. They don't give a shit. They're like Sophie from Dundee. She's the enemy. She's the enemy. We have to protect these migrants, these people that are not from the UK. They're not ethnically similar to us in any way. They're not culturally similar to us in any way. They obviously pose a threat. But this is not their priority. They just hate white people.
Yeah. I was wondering about this the other day. I posted about it. When are we going to be able to talk about how evil this bitch was? Because
you can now. You can talk about it.
She sucked. And I'm tired of pretending like she didn't. Number one, women shouldn't be in politics, okay? Where was her husband? Where was the king? Okay? Got to get in there and clean this up, okay? Number two, when she became queen, she inherited a white empire, right? That encompassed South Africa, Australia, all of these different colonies that they had set up. And it had always been viewed that the Commonwealth were the colonists, were the white people that were in South Africa or in Australia that were like setting up, or in India that were setting up these colonies and shipping goods and resources back to the UK. And after she comes on the scene, she went to war on her own subjects. And they changed this view of the Commonwealth being the Brits to the subjects, right? To the indigenous first, whatever they call them, First Nations bullshit, Aboriginal, Indians, and, the South Africans, the black ones, and it's just incredible to me that this woman was handed over arguably one of the greatest empires in world history, and she shit on it and shit on her own people, and moved all of these people into the United. I've got a friend that he splits his time between here in Idaho and England. He's married to a British woman. London is now 20% English, something like this, 20-25% maybe at best. And I remember going over there in 2008, and it's it didn't strike me until several years later when I realized, I could have just visited New York. It was the same thing. Mm-hmm. I didn't really, this was 2008. I hadn't really understood the whole picture yet, but it's just how fucking evil of a person do you have to be to take the people that you are responsible for? You're their queen, you're their king, whatever. You're supposed to have their goodwill at heart. You're supposed to be governing for them.
Have you seen Nigel Farage's pivot over the last few months and years?
No.
He recently said that remigration on a mass scale is going to be a virtual impossibility. Nigel Farage.
Great. Well, that doesn't surprise me at all. Nigel Farage is part of this NatCon hangout group.
Yeah. I wasn't surprised, but still, it's difficult to hear.
Yeah.
A lot of people hung their hopes on him. Let's talk a little bit about the Australia protest. I don't want to...
Speaking of the Queen's loyal subjects.
Right. I don't want to rehash it too much because by this point, it's kind of old news. This was 5 days ago, and it's already old news. But I wanted to talk about this angle that there were Nazis in the Australian protests and that put off... that put people off of it and destroyed the entire thing. So let's play clip 16, and then we can talk about clip 17 as well.
All Australians, not just white Australians.
We love all of you. We're not racist at all.
That guy's brown.
We love every one of you. Okay. Nazi group ruined it.
Do we play this on Monday?
A little bit.
On August 31st, protests saw a clash between anti-immigration rally attendees and Nazis.
That was disgusting. See my little kids here? I wore that Aboriginal flag to show solidarity.
What a fag.
March as one, together. And look what these idiots have done. Let's go! Was it the plan for neo-Nazis to lead the bomb? No! Huh? Definitely not. It wasn't? Nope. You have no affiliation?
No. You've lost us! You've lost us!
White Australians! all Australians, not just white Australians. Sang as he watched and waited to his
I am unapologetically proud to be a white Australian.
It's pretty tame.
Pretty tame.
This is it. Wow. This is that nice. Killed it. Absolutely killed it.
Are you racist?
Yeah, we're racist. Yeah, we're racist.
And why is that a good thing?
We're proud of who we are. We're proud of who we are as white men. We built this nation. Our ancestors built this land for us, and we're proud of that.
Make two little girls cry over a bunch of Nazi.
Wow. Nice language, guy.
We will protect your kids no matter what, and we'll protect you, right? That's the Aussie way. That's the Aussie way.
We're here to say the truth about why we're protesting, and these guys are not representing what we think.
Yeah, that was good before that. That's why everyone's leaving now. No one stands for that.
We stand for everyone, not just a few people, you know? That's right.
The extremists ruin it for everyone. That's what happens.
Australia's built on immigrants. We need to keep having immigration, but not a white Australia policy.
Okay, I'm not skeptical that this was the sentiment amongst the general.
I don't think it was. I don't even think that was the sentiment among like the vast majority of people. I mean,
right.
With this whole thing, right, there were bigger protests that were planned by groups that like weren't Nazis or whatever. And then some of them, though, were planned by the NSM. So, the idea that they hijacked every rally, that's not actually true. They set up some of their own that were attended.
Right.
And they joined in on others. And all the footage, because I saw all of it, and it's like they focused on the 2 or 3 people at the backs of the crowds that were kind of disaffected, boomer, liberal types that, you're going to get those in any crowd of 100,000.
Australia's pretty cooked, though.
Australia's cooked.
No, they're cooked, but they're also probably cooked. Nick had some interesting stuff to say. I wanted to play clip 17 so that we could talk about it, because it's also possible that we don't understand the situation in Australia. Let's play this to 120, if you would.
Yes. Speech, and I was like, wow, huge turnout. I said, wow, massive turnout, all Australian flags. I said, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Then I find out it was like a big anti-immigration protest made by other people, and they hijacked it. They jumped in front of the crowd, and in some cities they got away with it. In some cities they got booed off the stage, and people said, get these Nazis out of here. And it's like, oh, okay. So it just goes to show, if they just took the Australian flag, these assholes are out there, and I don't say that to be, mean, but they look like assholes. They're in black uniforms, they're violent, they're thugs, they're screaming, they're using profanity, they're doing swastikas, Heil Hitlers, and they stick out like a sore thumb. And so you have like tens of thousands of fucking normal people with their faces out, just normal, regular people that love Australia with Australian flags. And then you got these goofballs in black uniforms with the rest. And the normal people are saying, get the fuck out. What is this?
Okay, we can cut. And then let's pull up 18. Zoomer Historian commented on this. This was an excellent tweet. This was the most common take I heard about the NSN over the past 1 to 2 years, but pretty much everyone I know who held that opinion has since recanted. Thomas and Joel's organization is growing very rapidly. There's clearly a market for it. Britain and the Dominions are radicalizing faster than even the most radical of us could have anticipated over the past year. The U.S. seems to be in a unique exception at the moment. So perhaps what's going on in Australia and Britain is inconceivable for some, but there's something happening. The NSN actually organized some of the rallies which are being spoken about in this clip, and their reception from the public was overwhelmingly positive. It's all on video. Only a few individuals caused a stink about them being there, mostly anti-racist boomers. Mm-hmm. The only person to be booed off stage across all of the rallies was an Indian in Brisbane.
True.
The kind of reception they got, both at the event and online, would have been inconceivable a year ago. The same way that the Overton window shifting so much there and here was also inconceivable. Who knows where the public will be in another year, 2 years, 5 years? They're certainly flying to the right. I see no reason why that was slowed down. Going full NatSoc probably wouldn't work in the U.S., at least not yet. It certainly wouldn't work in Britain, yet either for different reasons. But Australia is an interesting case. Their entire history is racial. Even their 2 world wars were fought explicitly for a white Australia as opposed to propaganda. we got and retained in Britain. At their current rate of growth, the Aussies are on track to have as many members as mainstream parties in about a year. There's clearly a market for what they're selling. So I also heard Nick talk a little bit, and much to my chagrin, he was talking about, I don't want to mischaracterize it as saying universalism, but he was talking about how we need to abandon resentments in the movement and we need to get more people on board. I, on the other hand, and this is my question for both of you, I still think that we are in a culling phase where we need to be cutting the fat, where we need to be streamlining the ideas of our movement. And I don't feel comfortable accepting people that are not really on board with our specific set of ideologies until it becomes the mainstream, until it becomes the zeitgeist of America again. Then we can take your errant person that's like a little weird or whatever. But I don't like this talk about how we have to appeal to normies. I don't like it. Everything in my being is telling me that we should not do this. So Dave, what do you think? What do you think we should do?
I mean, I think we should be appealing to normal people.
I reject that I'm not a normal person, by the way.
You're not a normal person?
I reject that.
Listen. When the cameras go off, okay, and the hair light isn't making you look like you got a halo over there.
Yeah, no, I'm a normal person.
You shit and go to the gym just like the rest of us.
I reject that my philosophies are so radical that it precludes me from being viewed as a normal person. Like these other people, they're the weirdos. It doesn't matter that they're the majority. So I reject this anyway.
Right. Okay, I guess. I mean, I think that we're the normal ones. I think, yeah, like these liberal types that want to sell out their country, I think they're not normal. I think they're suicidal. I think they're part of a death cult. You know, whether it's the liberalism death cult of wanting to bring in all these immigrants, or it's the right-wing Christian Zionist death cult that, you know, wants to literally reproduce so they can send their children off to die for Israel, you know, fighting in some, you know, apocalyptic war or whatever. I don't think either sides of that are normal, and I don't think that they should be the ones governing, you know, who can and should say what or whatever. But with how fast the Overton window is moving, like, I don't know, I think we should try to appeal to the most people possible because we have the truth on our side. We have the rational arguments on our side. Now, that isn't to say that populism works or anything like that. I mean, like, look at what populism has gotten us, right? It's gotten us basically two failed Trump presidencies where he's not following through on what the original 2016 MAGA movement was for. You know, making America great again, industrious again, economically and physically healthy again, right? This has not happened. And when you look at the populist movement in America, the one place where it was actually really successful was North Idaho in like the late early 1900s. But I don't think that like waking up the normie or whatever, that's only half the battle. Then the other half of the battle is getting our types of people from the top. So we work bottom up and top down at the same time.
But I don't even think we need the numbers. I think that we can do it with a minority vanguard.
6% is fine.
Yeah.
We got about 6%.
So this is not even a concern of mine, but perhaps Nick is right that if it's not a concern of most of us, that the entire movement might just fall flat. Cameron, what do you think?
He's wrong, and Dave's wrong. And I want to be very clear on this because you guys are both smart, but I did listen to what he had to say, and it struck me that it reminded me a lot of what I hear from both of you periodically, and that is a false framework, not a false framework 10 years ago, but a false framework today. And I'm going to go into this more in just a moment, but one of my greatest weaknesses is that I'm interdisciplinary. And when you're interdisciplinary, you're not really an expert. You know, I have invested a lot of time trying to understand finance, a lot of time, a lot of hours. And I understand the bond market very well. I understand interest rates, you know, things of that nature. I understand the history of the Fed, but I would not necessarily call myself a financial expert. I've spent a lot of time on geopolitics. I've traveled around the world, but I don't speak 3, 4, 5 different languages. I only speak 2. And I haven't lived in, say China or Mexico for 20 years, so I can't consider myself an area specialist. I like politics, but I'm not in it the way that you guys are. I am interdisciplinary. I look at the macro picture. And a lot of times in the online, right, you have people that are very myopic. And so they come to these conclusions that are very narrow and parsimonious and are not accurate at all. What was said about the United States, or rather about Australia being different from the US and the UK, is absolute nonsense. So I'm going to reference, Dave, if you can bring it up. There is an essay called The First and Second American Nations, and it was written by Arctotherium. And all of you should read this essay, because this is the true history of the United States, which has been buried and distorted for a long time. But you just listen to this paragraph. The first American nation was explicitly white and implicitly Northwestern European, with more than 99% of colonial stock and more than 90% of further immigration until 1880 coming from Northwestern Europe. Keeping America a white man's country motivated the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 and its later expansion of 1917 into the Asiatic Barred Zone, which banned almost all Asian immigration from any source, Asia being the only major source of non-white immigration until the enormous post-World War II Latin American population boom. Now, why do I read that? Because, ladies and gentlemen, the United States was not established in 1776 or 1787, all right? It goes back to 1620. That is when Rebecca's ancestors and mine came to this country. From 1880 to 1620, you've got over 2 centuries. Then from 1880 until the 1990s, this country was overwhelmingly white, and there was no ambiguity about who we are whatsoever. And that is exactly the same in the United Kingdom. We were ethno-states. All of the Western world, more or less, is an ethno-state. But of the most ethno-states, or rather the purest, if you want to use that term, by percentage, the United States is at the top of the list until the last 30 years. The last 30 years has distorted everything. We've forgotten who we are, okay? Our history, the United States, Australia, the United Kingdom, et cetera, is clear. It's distinct. We know who we are. If there's any doubt, all you have to do is walk through Statuary Hall in the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., and look at the statues that mirror my face. That's who built this country. We were never a pluralistic society. That's made up horse shit. Now, I say all of that to say this. We are now in a new politics. And that financial disaster that we spent the first half of the show, that is the future. So this talk that we've experienced for the last 10 years, and this is the way that you guys think, it's the way Fuentes thinks, and I understand why. You guys have been through the ringer. You've had to operate in a world in which you had to be very delicate, and you were censored, you were suppressed, maybe you were unbanked. These things govern how you think, but that world's over. It's coming to an end. This is not about optics. This is about an emergency, right? The reason people are rioting in the UK is because it is an emergency. They know that if they don't, this is the end. And we face exactly the same situation. This is not about politics. This is about identity. This is not about electing somebody. No. This is much, 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 much bigger than this. And I say all of that because you're going to have riffraff. You're going to have people that say all kinds of crazy shit. That's normal. That's how politics is. But we are now on the accelerated track into a radically different environment in which all of the old shibboleths are going to disintegrate. They're going to vaporize. And we need to wrap our minds around this so that we understand that it's going to be movement politics. It's going to be exogenous effects that transform the whole system. The whole world is changing. So wrap your mind around that and let go of the last 10 years in which you showed up on a Tuesday in November and you voted for somebody and you wished them well as they betrayed you once they got into office. That world is over because people in the streets are suffering. They can't pay for their food practically month over month. Their neighborhoods are changed beyond recognition. Their female population is being raped and pillaged. This is not 2016. This is 2025. So we are now in a different world, and escalation and acceleration, those are the motifs. So try to think differently, try to reframe, as I always say, because this kind of political calculus, it's going to change drastically.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But I do think that there is, like, I don't know how to put it in a way that adds strength to what Cameron just said, because I don't want to come at it like I'm undermining or anything like that. But I guess what I wanted to point out is, like, the situation in the UK, in Australia, in South Africa, in France, in Italy, Germany, right? Like, I do think that the situation over there is different to over here for historical reasons. I mean, I guess, maybe when the rubber meets the road, those differences really aren't going to mean anything. But, like, it is interesting, right? Like, we were looking at this article here from Arctotherium. ARCTO, Arctotherium.
Arctotherium.
I heard Ethereum. I'm like thinking, like, was this Bitcoin bullshit? Okay. But so, we all see this flag, right? The Native Americans beware of foreign influence flag, right? And I think a lot of people in, like, the white right, they see the flag, they go back, they watch Gangs of New York, and they're like, fuck yeah, this is based, like, this is awesome. Like, I'm an American nativist, yada, yada, yada. But, like, what a lot of people haven't done is, like, dig a little deeper, right? So just for example, the Know Nothings, and I'm compelled to say this because I'm Catholic and it bothers me. But so the Know Nothing Party was the Native American Party in 1855. This was the group that wanted to keep America white back in the mid 1800s. And it's very interesting because you find out that their first leader is a guy named Louis Charles Levin. He was Jewish, anti-Catholic extremist. He played a leading role in the Philadelphia nativist riots, which led to the killing of 20 Irish Americans and the burning of homes and the destruction of 3 Catholic churches associated with their community, born to Jewish parents who had emigrated from England. He also was the founder of the American Republican Party, which was anti-immigration, nativist, but also, like, extremely anti-Catholic. And I just wanted to take the moment to point out that in America, the ethnic conflict between Germans, Irish, Italians, English was fomented and stoked by Jews. Specifically, this Louis Charles Levin character. You can do the Wikipedia deep dive on him or whatever, but it's very interesting to me because, like, when you look at America in that way, England never really had to deal with this, who is English? France never had to deal with a who is French, or Germany or Italy or whatever like that. In America, we are a melting pot, and we do have a white American ethnos that has emerged through the process, in my opinion, of ethnogenesis. It's been created through this program of intermarrying, and, over a period of generations, they become an American. And, like, I've seen this in my family, right? Like, on my Italian side, we had the Feast of the Seven Fishes. We had all this Italian stuff that we used to do on the Irish side. They'd bake soda bread and eat, corned beef and sauerkraut. But we lost, this kind of thing that, like, made America what it was. And I'm just riffing here, but it reminds me, I just saw this video earlier today. This is Brooklyn.
When you're here, until you see a 70 some odd foot tower bouncing and swaying toward you, you haven't seen it.
This is our neighborhood, and no matter where we go, we're from Williamsburg.
Now, I've been told that I can lift the Giglio.
You're in.
But I mean, it's just, but you get the idea, right? Like, this is like, the neighborhoods used to be like this. We used to have these kind of ethnic enclaves in America. And as we're losing that, this is basically my long form pitch for why be Catholic, because it's like, without something there binding you together with someone else, it's like, what are you anyway? You know what I mean? Like, you need to have some sort of something, some glue that holds us together, because otherwise we're just going to be atomized white people, fighting for our existence alone or in enclaves of 10 or 20.
No, I hear you, but
it's
not enough. I have nothing in common with the Haitian Catholic.
No, I'm not talking about the Haitian Catholics. I'm talking about this whole thing, because what was happening is the Catholics were able to work together to the point that we won the presidency, and then they fucking killed him. They killed Kennedy, and who did that? The Jews did that. And you look at you was stoking this kind of inter-ethnic hatred. Well, Jews were doing that back then, and they're still doing it to a large extent today. So I'm saying that the situation in America is different than the situation in the UK, in these colonies or whatever. But we do need to find ways to work together, ways that are appealing to the largest section of white people that we can.
Of white people.
Sure.
And then the black people that we have to deal with, right?
I'm saying
I
that
don't agree
with and you might not agree. I guess I'm just saying that there is this group of people that they call themselves the CQers or whatever, and their main goal is to alienate as many white Christians as possible. And I just don't think that's the right way. And these are the same people that are you need to be full NatSoc. And it's I don't know, guy, you're actively turning off 90% of your audience by coming out and being anti-Christ. So anyway.
Cameron, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, so a few things, okay? Because I understand the sentiment that you're expressing, Dave, and I 100% agree with it. And I'm gonna read something towards the end that is gonna emphasize the importance of unity, right? What we need more than anything else is unity. That being said, to your point, to put a feather in your cap, as they say, Samuel Adams, who was instrumental in the American Revolution, said that he wanted America to be a Christian Sparta. America is a Christian country. That's how we were founded. Now, it just so happens that Christianity was Protestantism and remains Protestantism. It is the dominant specific Christian sect in the United States. Now, that does not matter to me. I think Catholics, Protestants, Mormonism, to me, all of it congeals, just as Italians and Poles and so forth. And I think the great achievement of America is basically that we melded all of these peoples together in ways that the Europeans did not. That being said, there absolutely were fractures and fragments in all of the European countries. Again, this is a myth that's been promulgated by people in the United States that have tried to make the case, and a lot of them have been Jews, to your point, Dave, that we're different. No, we are not. There were blood feuds in England between the Angles and the Saxons and the Jutes and the Normans, among others. Remember, the Anglo-Saxons and the Normans is the genesis of the Robin Hood story, right? And when you had revolutionary activity, those legacy frictions would come to the fore. They had very similar tensions in France. France is a very diverse country. You had Celts, you had Latins, you had Germanics. Remember, the Frankish kings were originally German, but most of the population of France is Celtic.
Not the Frankish kings.
Charles de Gaulle, right, was from Normandy, and the people that settled in Normandy and Brittany were Celts. They were unified by a common language and a common religion. Mm-hmm. And obviously, they ethnically speaking were basically the same. So in that sense, no, we are not all that different. However, regarding this notion that we're all just sort of going to disperse into these separate atomized pockets, again, let's be disciplined about American history. So I'm going to read this from the very same passage. Alexis de Tocqueville noted America's disposition for voluntary associations. Remember, we did not have a state, more or less, that touched the whole country early on in our founding. We were, in many ways, a civilization without an established state, okay? A free society in ways that the world had never seen before. How did we deal with that? Well, Americans of all ages, all stations in life, and all types of disposition were forever forming associations. There are not only commercial and industrial associations in which all take part, but others of 1,000 different types, religious, moral, serious, futile, very general, and very limited, immensely large, and very minute. Now, why do I say that? I keep using this term, spontaneous organization. Ladies and gentlemen, I know whereof I speak. I know my own country's history. I know who I am. We invented spontaneous organization. And that is what you are beginning to see in all the Anglo countries, because we all share that kinship. And if the government betrays us, we will do what our founding fathers and our ancestors did. That is the beginning of this process. So again, try to be diligent with the historical record. This is why I keep saying the archetypes will reassert themselves. The national identity of a population will come to the fore again. It just so happens that in our day and age, we are Christian and we are white, and we are many different types of Christians and many different types of whites, but that is our identity.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And, it actually reminds me of something I've been joking about over the past couple of weeks. I've been seeing all these videos coming out of Ireland of all these people protesting and shit. And it's like, ooh, we should cook up the ancient order of Hibernians again. Let's get this group going. Let's get some Irish Zionism cooking over here. When can we start doing gun running to Ireland again, like the good old days of the IRA? No, I'm kidding. But this is an interesting, what Cameron's talking about, making all these different groups. The ancient order of Hibernians is one. Knights of Columbus is another. The Odd Fellows were even one. And I do think that things like what Arvol is doing is kind of in the same vein of creating these affinity groups that, when the chips are on the table, I think are going to work together as opposed to against one another in a time of crisis. And I think that is, a really good plan. I was also going to say something else. Ancient Order of Hibernians, something. Yeah, no, I think that's it. Other than I am going to do a shout out on the show. We are going to be having a meet and greet with Arvol here in Idaho.
Yes.
Next Monday.
Yes.
At 6 p.m. If you want directions and you want to find out where this is, you want to actually come here, then give us an email or a phone call or something. info@thebacklash.net. And we will vet you. And if you want to come, if you're in the area,
just two other things. And Rebecca, just tell me if I have time to read something, because I do think it's important. But you guys do not give yourselves enough credit. At Fuentes too. I mean, over the last 10 years, it's you guys that have changed the conversation. Right? It was the alt-right, it was the dissident media that is responsible for the flowering of all of the mainstream ideas today that 5-6 years ago were impossible to talk about. You guys did this. And how did you do it? Did you do it by normalizing, right? Or trying to moderate? No, you didn't. You consolidated around the truth. Speak truth to power. A lot of times that causes real negative feedback, right? Particularly when society is at equilibrium. Society increasingly is now disrupted by the very pernicious influences that the two of you specifically have been talking about for 10 years. Now is not the time to let up on the gas. Now is not the time to say to your neighbor, Bob, well, I really don't have views that are that crazy. Your views are the truth, period. And that's what you should stand on. That's what's attractive. That's what's electrifying populations across the Western world. They have been lied to. You guys have told the truth. Fuentes too, and are largely responsible now for people starting to figure this shit out. So don't let up on the gas. Put your foot to the accelerator and amplify, right? Escalate, because the masses today, they're ready for it.
Right. And I know he talks a lot about resentment becoming the heart of the movement, and there's probably some truth to that. But we have righteous anger, and we have righteous anger because we stand for the truth. And I didn't get here and lose everything that I lost and just be raked across the coals in the media and destroy my reputation so that I could be a decade into this and then start lying to people. I'm not going to do that. And then at this point, I kind of view the normie as my enemy. If you aren't along for the ride at this point in time, I don't don't really think I have much use for you. But I'm not a movement leader or trying to be.
I get that. That makes sense.
There's an investor named Rick Rule. Dave probably knows who he is. If you don't, you should look him up. He's a very bright guy, and he says you're either a contrarian or you're a victim, right? And in many respects, Rebecca, you're exactly right. Look, if you don't see what the hell is going on in the Western world right now, and you're sort of an over-socialized, assimilated normie, you're part of the fucking problem. You are. And you need to step aside for people like us who are going to tell the truth. So you're exactly right. We have to lead the discussion. We have to lead the horse in the direction we want it to ride, not the other way around. And you guys, again, to your credit, you have been doing this for 10 years, right? So give yourself some credit because you're winning. Your ideas, as I said a couple of weeks ago, are now at the vanguard. Now is the time to press the accelerator.
I totally agree.
I agree. And before you do your rants, I just wanted to point out that this idea of moving the horse where you want it as opposed to like the horse is moving and we're like, yeah, see, look, MAGA, right? Because that's kind of what was going on in 2016, right? You had the horse, it was kind of moving in a direction. It was vaguely in the direction we wanted to go. And so, Trump is Hitler and blah, 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 and like all of this stuff. And that was like the furthest thing from the truth. And I just want to point it out there because their conference is going on today. It's been going on all week. The NatCon National Conservative Conference number 5 is going on. If you see any of the people on this list and you think that there is hope for them, you're wrong. Nigel Farage, compromised. Right. Seb Gorka, Harmeet Dillon, are you kidding me?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tom Horman,
Josh
Steve
Hawley,
Bannon, Mike Benz. Who else is on this list? There's our friend Doug Wilson, Jack Posobiec. There's another Idaho guy on here. But take a look.
You're telling me Ron Coleman's not compromised?
Yeah, and Lomez is on here, right? Isn't Keeperman? Jonathan Keeperman's on here somewhere. Yeah, there he is, right? That's Lomez, your based right-wing anon that got doxxed and is now speaking at NatCon. Oh, Aaron McIntyre. Don't want to start shit with him. Sorry, bud. But, it's very interesting, right? Some of these faces look familiar. So just be careful, right? I mean, like, I do not know of a priest who is going to go with some goofy, whoever that is, and Menachem Zupnik and give a blessing over this whole thing. So just be aware of who these people are. Don't get caught up in the hype. Don't get caught up in the winning bullshit. We got to build our own thing. They are not going to build something for us. We've got to build it for us, period. Anyway.
Good. That's what I want to talk about.
Rant over. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So I want to start by reading this piece from Yeats from 1919. Come, let us mock at the great that had such burdens on the mind and toiled so hard and late to leave some monument behind, nor thought of the leveling wind. Come, let us mock at the wise with all those calendars whereon they fixed old aching eyes. They never saw how seasons run, but now they gape at the sun. Come, let us mock at the good that fancied goodness might be gay and sick of solitude might proclaim a holiday. I'm having a Barack Obama moment. Wind shrieked, and where are they? Mockers after that would not lift a hand maybe to help good, wise, or great, to bar that foul storm out, for we traffic in mockery. So Yeats mocks the great first, and this is a criticism of human ambition. The monuments that we're trying to build will always be subject to the destructive forces of mankind. We're compelled to leave a legacy, but the unsavory elements of our ambition that result in greed and the thirst for power, in bloodlust, they inevitably will be the downfall of our great contributions. We may be building a powerful movement, but perhaps Fuentes is right in some ways. If we're consumed by negative emotion, we could sow the seeds of our own undoing. Yeats then mocks the wise, philosophers that intellectualize with obscene confidence in their predictions, those that aren't able to accept the chaotic nature of humanity, of history. They refuse to concede that a great many things are totally out of our control. And so they stare into the sun, blinding themselves. rather than dealing with the unpredictability of the world. And we saw this with COVID. Predictions from medical authorities were taken at face value and not properly scrutinized. And during COVID, I saw a yard sign that said, "In Fauci, we trust." Not in God, in Fauci. Scientism has become a religion for the secular, and the outcome of that has been catastrophic. Yates continues to mock the good, those motivated by naivete, not recognizing the impossibility of utopia due to the confines of human evil, those that believe that they will be rewarded for their goodness, and that is their primary impetus. Goodness, at least that is ill motivated, is not rewarded. Violence is almost always the payback for pathological altruism. The women that stood welcoming migrants are now their murder and rape victims. Then Yates, and this is important, he mocks the mockers, those that will not lift a hand to aid the good or the wise or the great. And here he targets the cynical, those who refuse to take action. He underscores that nihilism is not a solution for our limiting human defects, that this contributes to the destruction more than those too focused on idealism, meandering philosophy, or pathological altruism. So we often slip into nihilism in this movement, myself included, believing that the situation is beyond remedy, that we're too weak to withstand institutional pressures. And this is not the way. This poem is not about futility, but it's about temperance, about finding the balance between nihilism and idealism, and about restraint in engaging in utopian fantasies and in resisting the urge to descend into hopelessness. So this is our mission as a movement, to understand that we're limited by the faults of human nature, but we must still be advocates for our cause to the absolute best of our abilities. And that cause, of course, is white unity, and then upholding the white people and our culture and perseverance thereof. So thank you.
Where's the applause?
I need applause.
I wanted to make sure I didn't do that.
I know.
That
Thanks.
would've been bad.
Yeah. Well, you did that once, right?
Yeah, on accident. Then my dad was like, if you did crickets on purpose, that would be really funny.
Dad.
I was like,
Papa Joe.
I don't know, man.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Cameron sent me this piece, and I hadn't read it, I think, since college.
Oh, yeah? The Yates piece?
Yes.
I was into E.E. Cummings, man. Like, I was into fucked up poetry. I don't know. I wasn't into, like, good stuff back then.
But I thought this was so poignant and perfectly reflected the situation that we're in.
Yeah.
Because everybody in our comment section when we're doing the show, they're like, "You guys are too black-pilled, I'm out." And then they're like, "Cameron's too idealistic, I'm out." I'm like, all right. Like, all of us need to deal with reality. But if you descend into hopelessness, then how much faith do you really have in white people?
Well, yeah, but also, I'd say even faith in God. You know what I mean?
How much faith in general, right?
The gates of hell are not going to prevail. You know what I mean? Like, it's up to us.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, like, it's a mindset thing, right? It's the mindset of, like, you're not hopeless. You're not useless. You can do shit. You can just do things.
Yes, but Yates was right. You also have to recognize that you are limited by human sin and by all of the problems that are innate to humanity. And so that really is all of our goal. Maybe that might be the goal of life, is to find that balance where you can maximize how much you benefit the world around you without being so reliant on your mortal being. So I thought it was very important, because it was it's the Nick versus Zoomer discussion, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's.
Yeah, but you split the difference with a very real and unapologetic assessment of the truth, which goes beyond just talking about immigration. And again, this is not about immigration. This is about the identity of the West, but also a very fair, honest, and open assessment of the elites. And this is where people in the right have been brainwashed. They have. They think that a bunch of degenerate, grifting kleptocrats are the most competent, intelligent people in the world. No, they're not. And I say that as emphatically as I do, because I know them. I went to school with the elites, and they are a bunch of drug-abusing, pedophilic freaks. They are not competent. They do not know what they're doing. And all one has to do is observe what's happening across the Western world. The plan was never to foment protests across the West. No, the plan was always a Fabian plan. It was always incremental destruction. It was to keep the financial system going. That's the mechanism by which you poison the host and you enrich yourself. Why would they want to destroy that? And furthermore, if they do destroy that, where's your evidence that they stand to benefit from that? They don't benefit from that. Do they have subterranean paramilitary forces that are going to herd us all into FEMA camps? Bullshit. They don't. That's an imaginary story that people tell you on the right that are talking about satellites in the sky that are going to descend with UFOs, and all of a sudden Project Bluebeam is going to change everybody's life so that we're living in some kind of prison planet, right? This is the Alex Jones kick. Get off of it. Plug into reality. That's not what's happening on the street. Most of the white population is afraid. They're scared. Why? Because their country looks beyond recognition and they can't get a job. That's reality, not this other hocus pocus crap. So you've got to let go of that false frame. And I say that in part because of the historical record. We are at a late stage in this cycle, and elites tend to reflect where you are in the cycle, right? The progenitor, the originator of a business or a company, right? Or of an estate, they're the competent ones, not people that grift, right, off of a dividend check because they owned an asset that goes up year after year after year. And a lot of these people, and I'm here to tell you, Wall Street doesn't buy anything we talked about tonight. They don't think there's anything like an imminent financial apocalypse at all. How do I know that? Because State Street, because Vanguard, because BlackRock, again, the evil bond geniuses that control everything, they're fully vested, which means that if the stock market collapses, they may lose everything. Everything. Don't believe me? It happens all the time. If you want to study the history of financial crises, a leading indicator of a financial crisis is bankers starting to commit suicide.
Oof.
Why? Because they have ensnared themselves in some kind of a grift machine that they cannot get out of, and so they off themselves. This is reality. So understand the nature of power. It's very delicate. It demands discipline and understanding, right? Careful study. It cannot simply be hocus pocus, massaged or manipulated in such a way that beguiles the masses. This is a fantasy that's got to die so that we can feel a sense of empowerment and agency, the agency that both you and Dave were talking about.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. Please send in your last-minute super chats to the backlash.net/super chat. Please send a super chat about the Chinese military parade.
So we can watch that clip over and over.
If you could also send in a super chat about Greta Thunberg.
That boob picture was fake.
No. This is real.
No. It was somebody.
This is real. What are you talking about?
That's real.
This is real.
That one's real. Someone photoshopped it so that she had like a crop out.
Yeah. I saw that.
That one was fake.
Yeah, but so what? This is the real deal.
I don't know.
I'm just saying. Hey.
She still looks like a retard. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know. I like her frog hat.
That's true.
She's got the frog hat. The frogs are coming. Yes. Should we do... This always happens. Why do I take control of the show? It's your show. Should we do ads now?
Sure, let's do a few ads.
Let's do a couple ads real quick. Because we would not have this show if it weren't thanks to Idaho Tallow Company. If you are sick and tired of buying shitty... soap and face products and skincare from...
Have you seen the recent Dove ad?
BlackRock? No. Is it just black people getting showered or something?
It's like black chicks that have red hair and freckles. Don't play it.
No. You brought it up. Now I gotta look for it. What is it? What do I search? Dove?
It's just type in Dove ad.
New Dove ad. Please come up.
There it is. Yeah.
Oh my God. Look at this.
Fat Indian.
What?
Black chick. And then it's that song, My Neck, My Back.
Bruh.
Yeah, and it's all these fat, dysgenic mystery
Boycott these people. Boycott them. Boycott Dove. Boycott all of these goofy soap companies that are owned by BlackRock. Switch to idahotallow.com. They keep it simple with grass-fed tallow, time-tested ingredients, and zero junk. No endocrine disruptors either, by the way. Our soaps, balms, and lip balms are packed with bioavailable nutrients your skin actually needs. No fillers. Did we mention there's no endocrine disruptors?
You did.
Just rugged, reliable skincare that works. Ditch the synthetic garbage and switch to North Idaho Tallow Company. Get yours at idahotallow.com. And remember, like when we're talking about endocrine disruptors, when you're going to wash your balls with a bar of Dove soap, it has been engineered to lower your testosterone.
And turn you into a fat black woman.
Don't use, if you use Dove soap, you will turn into an Indian.
That's the best ad ever.
Buy Idaho Tallow Company soap and don't smell like an Indian. Get clean. No grease balls.
Did you see Black Pigeon's video on Backlash against Indians?
No.
He did a good one on Japan a few weeks ago or last week.
Oh my goodness. We also have to thank Antelope Hill Publishing, who's fighting to keep history alive against the regime of anti-white censorship and publish a new generation of dissident, radical, right-wing researchers, philosophers, polemicists, and writers. They have an eclectic catalog that includes veteran right-wing authors and academics like Harry Bolton, Dr. Ricardo Duchesne, and Paul Kersey, as well as newer figures like Lord Miles Routledge of Afghanistan, Josh Neal, and Christian Secor, in addition to a long list of original translations or modern reprints of otherwise inaccessible historical works from eras such as Fascist Italy, National Socialist Germany, and even medieval Europe. Their original works include groundbreaking investigations into the causes and funding behind transgenderism and the opioid crisis, books on Christian nationalism and American folktales. Additionally, Antelope Hill also contributes to the regeneration of our culture and rebirth of our family values through their top-quality fiction, including books like Let Them Look West and Worlds Separated, and a collection of beautifully illustrated and wholesome children's books. Whatever your interest is, you're bound to find books that you like at Antelope Hill, all professionally published and with cover art that will grace your bookshelves. Help us and help our people by checking out companies that share our values and work to preserve the birthright of our history. Visit antelopehillpublishing.com. Do it today. Do it now. One of my favorite books, by the way, that I don't think I'm going to be able to find it very quickly here, but I remember I got it like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. It was the Leon DeGrelle book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Leon DeGrelle had written like a book of poetry, and I can't remember. Maybe if I...
All right, this is your last chance to get your super chats into the backlash.net or send supers to our YouTube channel that is at Real Backlash. Let's start answering some questions.
This was it. The Burning Souls by Leon DeGrelle. Literally actually brought a tear to my eye when I was reading. I forget which chapter it was, but they talk about fighting on the Eastern Front and all this stuff.
And they sell it at Antelope Hill.
Beautiful. Yeah, and don't forget Atlas Bullion for gold and silver, Blockstream if you need Bitcoin-related things. Let's start on Entropy today because it looks like it's working. Blue Eyes White Dragon sent $2.99. And now it's not working. You guys mentioned schools in Coeur d'Alene on the last stream. Could you talk more about that? My oldest is 2 and had originally planned on homeschooling since my state is trash. Looking to move out ASAP.
From my experience with schooling in Coeur d'Alene, you can absolutely vet the curriculum. And if any tranny stuff, gender queer unicorn, if any of that stuff comes through, there will be a parent riot at that school. Like, there is no tolerance for that shit here. No tolerance. And if you have a kid that's trans, I'm sure they're going to get bullied terribly, so don't bring them here.
True. Yeah, I mean, I think that as far as up here goes, I mean, the Catholic schools are second to none. Some of the best Catholic schools in the nation are here. Hold on, I'm trying to reactivate. Something keeps fucking happening with Entropy.
Entropy is always causing problems for Devin too.
Yeah, it's goofy. It should be fine now. Yeah, but they all got deleted, which is why I screenshotted it, because I'm smart this time.
That's what he says. And I don't think he's getting payouts either.
Yeah, it might be true. But anyway, okay, schooling in Coeur d'Alene. You know, we've done some work. It's gotten better. We've got some like extreme liberals fired. We've been able to like exert pressure and do things. Right now, the superintendent of schools in Coeur d'Alene, he sucks. That's his name, Sean something. I can't remember. Post-fall schools also similarly like shoddy. I mean, like maybe compared to the rest of America,
I'm sure they're killing it compared to the rest of America.
They're not as bad, but compared to like a classical education, they're still nowhere near. But we also have things like Kootenai Classical Academy. There's the Coeur d'Alene Charter School, which like they teach you Latin, Greek. They read the old books, the old Western
I've heard
canon.
Sorensen's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of like vocational technical schools up here too. There's STEM,
there's two STEM academies. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of really good education, and then also like the homeschooling co-ops up here are huge.
They are robust. They're huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that is the reason why I live here. Contrary to whatever Jews say about me on the internet, I'm living up here because I got married. I wanted to have kids. Wanted to have a lot of kids, and I wanted them to have good educations. Yep. And this area provides the best. So, and my daughter starts school on Tuesday next week.
Nice.
So that'll be interesting.
It's going to free you guys up.
And that desire, Dave, that you have is the same desire that every white parent across the United States and the UK and Australia and Europe want.
Yep.
And in order for them to realize that desire, they will support us. They have to. Yep. They don't have a choice.
Yep. Blue Eyes White Dragon sent another $2.99. Oh, and also my wife got in the car while the podcast was playing, and she said she really liked listening to Rebecca's voice.
Oh, thank you.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that.
Gorilla Hand sent $25. I always look forward to watching your podcast. Honestly, I would say Dave looks more like Bud Bundy than Elton John. Rebecca is definitely Kelly Bundy. LOL.
It's true.
True. Thank you for the super chat. Flair Cake sent $14. Go ahead.
Bud Bundy, was that family?
Is it Marriage with Children? Married with Children.
Married with Children. But that was the son, right? Not the Al was the father, right?
Al Bundy was the father.
Oh yeah, you're
Who's
right.
Bud Bundy?
Who the hell's Bud Bundy? Was he the kid?
Bud, I think, was the son.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Do I have to look? Okay, now I got to look this up.
I don't think you do look like Bud Bundy.
Yeah, he's like way faggier than you are.
Maybe
for
more
sure.
like Ted Bundy. I don't know.
You look nothing like Ted Bundy.
Bud Bundy. Like what era?
I don't think you look like him.
I think you look more like Al Bundy.
His name is David Faustino. Back when Catholics used to actually get rolled. He's probably Jewish, right?
Is he? I don't think he's Jewish.
Not. No. But yeah, okay, well that's interesting. Thanks for the compliment. Love the show. I actually
he was great.
Watched that when I was growing up. Dating Me, a little old. Jeepers.
Oh, it's
creepers.
okay.
There's some great monologues that Al Bundy had on that program.
Yeah.
You can find them on YouTube. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And teenage Christina Applegate was Chef's Kiss.
What was the other show that I'm thinking of where there was like the black people in it? That whole
Family
thing was
Matters.
Family Matters. Thank you. Yeah, Devin
I watched
Stack
Family
has
Matters.
Yeah, Devin Stack has a bunch of really good stuff, like unpacking all of that old programming. Fascinating. Anyway, Flair Cake sent $14.88. Just wanted to say, Blonde is looking fine tonight in that off-the-shoulder thing. Very daring. And I don't care if Cam calls me a simp.
It's not daring.
Simp alert.
Simp.
It's one shoulder.
I should have like some sort of
How could you not mention Dave's blazer?
I know.
I mean, look how fetching and handsome this guy is. Come on.
I don't know how you're wearing that. It is so hot in here.
It's like 101 degrees.
Yeah.
And I'm keeping my cool because of these knickknacks, which we're not getting paid to promote, but I want to. Knickknack. It is a great alternative to Fuck Alp.
Why? Oh, because of Tucker Carlson. Yeah.
Tucker Carlson makes those things in India. Knickknacks.
Does he really?
These are made in Spokane, Idaho.
Oh.
They're a little lozenge. You just put it in. It dissolves. There's none of that like gooey.
Nicotine is the
bag
right
of
wing
shit.
drug. I will say that.
So I'm just saying, Knickknack. Check them out. Knickknack Paddywhack. It's knickknack.com. You can probably order it there. We literally are not
Stop
getting...
doing unpaid ads. Stop.
But maybe if they like get like a big order, they'll be like, yo, who was talking about us? And then they'll see like, oh, the racists were talking about us. Maybe we should give them a deal.
That's not going to happen.
It's probably not going
But order your knickknacks from Spokane.
Booger, a.k.a. Eastern Promise, sent $20. Rebecca, love the show since you dropped the dead weight.
Thank you.
Please have, that took me a second to be like, were you calling her fat? Please have Jeremy McKenzie of Dialogue on the show.
Do you know who that
He
is?
is best positioned to comment on the dystopian hellscape that has become Canada.
Let me...
Jeremy McKenzie of Diagolon.
Okay, I'll look him up. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, buddy.
That'd be very good. Castler777 sent $15. 15.0. Don't know what that means. I mean, I'm just looking
Sorry,
at
buddy.
this 15.0. I mean, I feel like you put the money twice. Oops. Oopsie daisy. Anyway. Okay, well, thank you. We will come back to entropy if we get any over there. Let me go to our other platform.
I found him. Okay.
Very good. What's today's date? Third?
Third.
Oh, boy. Oh, shit. We got a lot of super chats over here.
Jeremy McKenzie has blocked me.
Romega sent $49.99 on YouTube.
Whoa, thanks.
Just 1 penny away.
Why has this guy blocked me already?
Just 1 penny away from the $50 club. Thank you. Cam, can you please be more active on Twitter? I enjoy your commentary.
Yeah, Cam.
Oh, wait, shoot. That wasn't from Romega. Romega just sent $50 with no message. Thank you for the big super chat, Romega. A real Ubermensch actually sent $50. Thank you very much. Cam, please be more active on Twitter. I enjoy your commentary.
I need to take a Twitter tutorial with Dave. I don't know. My tweets suck. I mean, I write like 3 or 4 paragraphs, and I think people sometimes I get comments like, "Dude, you know, I lost you at the second paragraph."
Yeah.
So I need to take a class with Rebecca and Dave on social media 101.
Here's what you do. Okay, you write your tweet with what you want to say, and then you tell ChatGPT, here's what I want to say, rewrite in offensive Gen Z slang.
Seriously?
And then just tweet that.
That's plagiarism.
And it'll just be like,
what about because what I
bitch.
like to do is I like to make a video, like a 2-minute video, but that doesn't work on Twitter either, apparently.
No, Twitter works with 2 minute. You can do 2-minute videos on Twitter.
You can, but they don't get traction.
They would get more than like retweeting, like for sure, like tweeting a link to an article that basically goes nowhere. That kills your reach. You want to tweet things with an image, with a video, and you want to keep it short and usually like ask a question, like, "Do you see this?" And it's very vague, and you have to watch the video 5 times, and then you realize that they were just engagement farming you.
Yep, that's really annoying.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see.
Who's going to tell her? I see that one all the time, too.
Jimmy C sent $10. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and can't go 3 minutes without seeing or hearing a fucking black. I hate it.
Yeah. Yep.
True.
New York is just such a mess. I mean, I was there. I don't know when you guys were there last, but I was there in the fall of 2023. And Soho, you'd walk through Soho, which is South Houston, for those of you who do not know, which is based on the same street in London, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you walk down that street and you're basically in an African refugee camp. I don't know if it's still like that, but same thing that's going on in London. They were putting them up in hotels. New York City is running out of money, and I guess they're going to elect this new communist who's going to plunge them into the abyss. But the good news is that the WASPs, what's left of them, who live in Brooklyn and are scattered throughout the city, and the Jews in particular, who are heavily concentrated in Brooklyn, they're going to be affected very negatively by what is coming. They're afraid. They are actively trying to sabotage this guy from getting, what's his name?
Zoran Mamdani.
Yeah, they're actively trying to sabotage his election, and I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, I am eating the popcorn on the New York situation. I mean, it does kind of suck. That was like, our spot. I mean, I guess my family came from Philly, though, so.
Do you remember, I know you guys aren't really into sports, but there was an Atlanta Braves player. I cannot remember his name. This is like 30 years ago, and he rode the New York subway, and he said, this is like being in a foreign country. I don't remember exactly what he said. That was 30 years ago. 30 years ago. incredible.
Yeah, don't do public transport. We have Uber now.
He took a lot of shit for that, by the way, when he said it.
Probably.
And it was obviously true.
Those rando thoughts sent $100 on Rumble. Thank you for the big super chat. Blonde, last week you mentioned, quote, as a Catholic, we're told to forgive, asking Dave how to justify this according to theology. I've heard smarter men than me say, quote, you can only forgive those that repent. True. That's true.
I don't know. Forgiveness is difficult for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, remember, like, if they're not asking for your forgiveness, you don't have to worry about forgiving them.
Oh.
And even if they do forgive you, you don't have to forget. Like, just because, like, you got swindled doesn't mean that you have to forget that that asshole swindled you, and you're never going to let that ever happen again.
No, I won't forget.
Women don't forget.
Never.
But revenge is a very human thing, and again, we all endeavor, as Dave says frequently on our show, we endeavor to be the Christ, but we are not Christ. So we aspire, but we're flawed, and so we experience the wrath of being scorned or being wronged, and sometimes we have to rectify that. And that's what we're going to do. You know, one of my favorite movies is Josie Wales. And if you go back and watch that film, when they describe his character, they say Wales is a man who lives by the feud. And that is an archetype. That is a character type in Western culture. And it's needed at the moment.
So true. We've got
the outlaw Josie Wales. That is the outlaw
Josie Wales. I don't know why this isn't working now. Now this one's not working. 86 Silent Heel 777 sent $10. I hope y'all three are doing well. Will any fall decorations start appearing in the background soon?
Oh yeah, maybe we should do that.
Yeah. Send a super chat to my wife, barefoot in the kitchen. No, I'm kidding.
How is she going to anon chat us?
I know. I shouldn't.
Come on, man.
Book Track Groove sent $10 on Rumble. Alex's son looks so embarrassed. There is video where Alex showed up on Owen's show with Nick Fuentes, David simping for Alex. No, listen.
Yes.
A little bit. But it was a funny bit when Alex Alex came out on the show and was like, you guys can't talk about Israel anymore, blah, blah, blah. And it was very obviously a bit. He was doing a bit. It's funny. He's not completely unself-aware, but he should lay off the vodka.
Why, Dave, why doesn't he go there? You know the Infowars crowd. I always wondered that myself. How come they don't touch that issue?
Harrison Smith does.
Harrison does. Owen has. I mean, they've even platformed like Adam Green and like all kinds of people.
Well, they have Fuentes on, don't they?
They have Fuentes on all the time. I mean, I just think that Alex doesn't go there because he's trying to keep himself appealing to everybody. And Infowars does have a very large Zionist base of, psycho conspiracy nuts that do the Project Bluebeam thing, And so they want to hear Alex talking about that kind of stuff. They don't want to hear about the Israel stuff. And I think Alex is looking at it as his market share. And he's like, well, I don't really want to alienate these guys. I'll bring on Nick. I'll bring on other people that'll say it. But then they can love me. And it's just a matter of, managing his market share. I don't fault him for that in any way.
Fair.
Anyway, Michael Gerard 2 sent $5 on YouTube. Thanks for the Rebecca Thirst Trap thumbnail. Good job.
Thank you. We've been working on those.
You see that, Dave? You see that?
All right, fine.
See that?
Right. You're right. All right. We'll have better thumbnails. Dude Mon sent $10 on YouTube. It's good for engagement to have one guy on the show with the most atrocious normie takes. Getting Owen Schroyer on the show might actually be possible. You should give him a shout. I think you've probably got a better relationship with Owen than I do, right?
I can talk to him.
Yeah.
He wants to do his own thing, so.
Yeah, I think when he comes on the show, when he launches his show, he should
Listen,
come on
I can't do another show with a normie. I can't do it.
No.
I can't do it.
It would be funny to have like a third person as a normie that's just constantly like a boomer. It would actually be really funny. Well, what do you mean Israel controls everything?
They'll just slow down the
They're
conversation.
God's chosen people.
We'll never get anywhere.
It'd be so funny. We could just dump on them all the time. It'd be great. I think it'd be great for engagement. Rage baiting. A real Ubermensch sent $5. Alex Jones, blonde, how much money do you have to pay Dave to carry the torch on the bad contrarian takes.
How much money do I pay Dave? Well, he makes 30% of nothing. So that's pretty much where we are on the Backlash.
A real Uberman sent another $5. Alex Jones, sorry, Dave. That was rude of me. Please know I'm sincerely apologizing. Dude, that's fine. I don't care.
He was going to go cry.
I will literally, if we all agree on something, I will literally do the exact opposite just for content.
That's asinine.
You should.
No, it's all about content. Anonymous sent $10. I have a 20K, a 50K, and a 100K note from Zambia before they rebase their money. Kwacha, I think it's called, worth pennies. Yeah. Very true. Yeah, this was this Zambia? No, Zimbabwe. This one's from Zimbabwe. But you know what else that reminded me of? Have you ever looked at the Russian money? Okay, hold on. Let me do this. First set of Russian money after revolution. Maybe this will come up. Hold on. You got to see it. It's great. You'll love it, Rebecca. Where is it? It's one of these. Damn, I can't find it.
I like that.
They have the friendly windmill.
Oh, really?
On them. Yeah.
Oh, if anybody has any of those, send them our way.
Yeah, please. I've been thinking about buying. They're dirt cheap on. There it is.
Oh, wow.
Right, 250
like
rubles. It's got the little double eagle and the swastika. This was printed in 1917. Interesting. I just thought that was an interesting little bit of history that people aren't aware that before Germany adopted this symbol, it was being used by the Russians as they were trying to beat back the Bolsheviks. Interesting.
And what was one of the first pieces of legislation or laws passed by the Bolsheviks upon taking power in 1917, Dave? I know you know it.
That would be anti-Semitism laws.
Yep.
Anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Pro-Semitism.
Serve and folly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Evergreen Dreams, then $5. Dave, what are your thoughts on gold-backed cryptocurrencies such as Pax Gold, 2odd, etc.? I will say that I like the Tether people. Tether has a Tether Gold token. So I mean, like if you've got like a shit ton of like shit coins or ETH or something like that, I'd consider rolling that up into some Tether Gold. If you get, I think 50 ounces of Tether Gold, you can actually physically redeem it.
Really? I still have some Ethereum.
Yeah, you can do that. So,
by the way, I neglected to mention this earlier, Dave, but the CEO of Tether said we are absolutely not touching any long duration U.S. Treasury bonds. So
yes,
it is only short duration stuff.
Yes, They only buy 1 to 2 year notes.
Oh, that's not going to help at all.
Paolo Ardoino is his name, an Italian. We got some Italian supremacists over here. So yeah, I mean, I would tell you to just buy actual physical gold, get real gold. But if you've got like a couple grand, like locked in some shit coin, whatever, and you just want to swap it to Tether Gold, fine. Absolutely.
Oh my God, Dave, hustle or you're going to be drowned in a deluge of my armpit sweat.
Thunderstorm sent $9.99 on YouTube. I suggest people check out the bonus army march and how our famous World War II generals attacked World War I veterans under presidential order. Yes, was that Smedley Butler's thing? The bonus army?
Demand early payment of a promised service bonus due in 1945. The march, led by Walter Waters, gained widespread support but faced resistance from the Hoover administration, culminating in the U.S. Army using force, including tear gas and bayonets, to evict the veterans. It contributed to public outrage.
Oh, that was MacArthur. That's right.
It was Douglas MacArthur. Yeah. But those were very, very different times, and we had a real army in those days, a professional army. It is an important precedent, to be sure. But I have submitted, and we've gotten asked this question a couple times. What will our armed forces do? We'll find out.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's a fascinating episode in history. Also, what's it called? The business plot. Really interesting too.
Almost every successful revolution, including the French Revolution, by the way, usually begins when the army stands down in some way, shape, or form. When they refuse to take violent action against the citizenry. And I submit to you, I think that's what we're going to see happen.
Yeah, we've been seeing the prep for that with all this National Guard deployment and all that coming up. Book Track Groove sent $10 on Rumble. I watched The Academic Agent about the Operation Hoist the Colors about Britain, which is sad. It's just used to track you and remove you.
Academic Agent is so fantastic.
Hoist the Colors?
I didn't see that video.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that. Yeah, we should have him on.
I've been working on them.
Book Track Grooves also sent another $10. We got a couple in a row here. On Rumble, people latch to single words and don't delve deep. Jays want Protestants and Catholics to fight with each other. True. We should resist that urge, unless they're Zionist Protestants.
That's not gonna happen.
No.
That, the Catholic Protestant thing, that has deep roots in this country. It does. I know people from the old times that are hardcore WASPs, and they're still anti-Catholic. They're over 70 years old. That doesn't exist in the younger generations. It doesn't need to.
Yep.
And frankly, I think the Catholics are a lot more based, I guess that's the word people use, than the WASPs are, right?
Yeah.
Than the evangelical Protestants are. So if anything, I think you're going to see this sort of hardcore Catholics lead the Protestants back to the promised land. I would not be surprised if that happens.
Yep, I concur. Book Track Groove sent $10 on Rumble. I am humbly shilling my new song I just uploaded. More coming soon if I have time. David, how good are you with reading Greek? Rebecca, what herbs do you grow? Rosemary?
I grow rosemary, basil, lots of basil, lemon, thyme, mint, and lavender. And then this year I had a cilantro plant that did not do well. Oh, and parsley every year.
I don't imagine cilantro would grow well up here. That'd be difficult. I am not very good at reading Greek. I am very good at using ChatGPT and consulting the Greek-English Dictionary by Liddell Scott. I don't actually... we were talking about languages earlier before the show. I speak a little French. That's
it's not my strong suit.
It's about it. Like, if you give me a couple weeks in France, I'll be conversational. Not conversational.
My husband's family is filled with polyglots. His mother spoke 5 languages.
Really? Smart guy.
Good tonal languages.
One thing I did want to mention. I'm sorry, Rebecca. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just bragging about my husband's family. That's all.
Oh, okay. One thing I did want to mention about Academic Agent is I do think his content is very good, but I do have a reading list that he recommended. And it reflects, and I say this with the utmost respect, but it reflects this, I would say, a 200-year false frame that goes back to the Marxist framework that I've talked about before. And I just made a video addressing this as well. And I say that so that you can read outside of the last 200 years, right? So again, try to broaden your understanding, because we don't live in that world anymore. And that sort of Marxist framework that everybody in the online right obsesses about. I mean, frankly speaking, they have bought into communism, right? Because communism, essentially, setting aside the revolutionary impulses and all the rest of it, is the idea that an elite group of people can manage everything. And guess who believes that? Everybody in the online right. This is why I shit on it at every opportunity, because it's bogus. It's not true, which is why communism has failed wherever it's been tried, right? So if you think you're different and you're based and you're hardcore right talking about the elites, you're not. You've just been brainwashed and believing a bunch of communist horseshit. Like I said, I say that with all due respect to Academic Agent. I think his material is excellent, but read outside of the Frankfurt School. Broaden your ken, because that's going to help you understand what's coming.
Well, when you put it like that, it makes sense. I get it. What? Oh, okay. Let's see. Arthur.
Yeah, I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
right,
absolutely.
Dave? Oh, yeah.
No. It makes total sense. You've reframed it beautifully. Arthur says inquart. Is that supposed to be some sort of double entendre or sexual innuendo that I'm not picking up? He sent $5. The U.S. sends around $4 billion to Israel every year. That more than any other country, and a huge amount. What's it spent on? I don't know. Transgender surgeries, state-funded.
You know what it's spent on.
Abortions, state-funded. And it's also, funding things like this, like the turning of, once prosperous areas like Gaza. Well, not prosperous, but I mean, look at this. Functioning. You had cars, you had roads, you had buildings. This was in 2023, and now 2025. This is what we got left. So that's where your money is going. That's where your billions of dollars of tax money is going. It's going to turn Gaza into a shithole. If you don't like that, too bad. That's anti-Semitic. You're going to jail. Do not collect $200. Anonymous sent $50. Thank you very much. That's it. No message.
Wow.
We're starting to get some of Nick's super chatters, I think.
Hey.
I'm kidding. Big Mad Lad sent $5. The 14th Amendment was the beginning of the destruction of the United States. As soon as we allowed non-whites to be considered American, we killed our national identity. If anyone can be an American, that means nothing. Only whites can be American.
Yeah, I mean, I've never talked about repealing the 14th. I think it's a little late for that.
Which one's the women one? 19?
19.
Yeah, I think we got.
Let's start at 19. Work our way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what we've talked about. Rather, I suppose that's the point that I have belabored. But remember, there's the state and there's the nation, and the state reflects a body of laws that are enumerated in the Constitution. That can change. How does it change? It changes when you get a revolution, when you have an ethnos that reclaims control of the state. And that's where we're headed. Mm-hmm. We are being forced. I mean, this is what we're seeing in the UK. This is what we're seeing in Australia. The reason I took umbrage with what was said about this rally in Australia, and I have similar feelings to some degree about what you're seeing in the UK, is you have a lot of well-meaning people, the nation, right? The natives, the real Britons, the real Australians, who are appealing to the democratic process and what's happening in response, right? They're being dismissed. This is what we talked about with the Epping case. Does the British population really think that they can just stage a few rallies and all of a sudden the elites, right, that are in Westminster Abbey, that are sitting there in Parliament, that all of a sudden they're going to get it and they're going to change their policies? No, ladies and gentlemen, that's not the way this is going to go. We're going to have to get more engaged. But if we do get more engaged, we will win, because most people most of the elected officials across the Western world are a bunch of cowards that will react to what we demand. This is what I'm trying to push. This is what I'm trying to convince all of you of, is that we have a lot more power and agency if we get engaged than sitting around thumbing our nose at the idealism of people that are willing to engage.
Yep. Mechanized Doom sent $20. Greetings, Backlash. I'm considering moving my savings from Bank of America to a credit union. Is that a fool's errand? Thank you for all you do. Cam, if you want to answer this, you can. I stopped using mainstream banks as soon as they started the deplatforming shit, like years and years ago. Fuck Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all of that. I use local banks, credit unions. It's not difficult to do. You can walk in, say, give me a check. I'm closing my account. They'll bitch at you, wonder where your money's going, and you'll tell them to fuck off, give me the money. And then they'll reluctantly cut you the check, and you can give them the finger and walk away. I would do it. Go ahead.
This is financial advice. I would get my money. If I had an account at Bank of America, I would remove my money yesterday.
Yep. Yeah. Boycott Bank of America. Not financial advice. Soul Explorer Coaching sent $5. Anti-Semitic remark. Thank you for the big $5 super chat. I appreciate it. Anonymous sent $50. Blonde, no disrespect to your husband, but you are goddess pretty.
Oh, well, thank you.
Please teach your daughter to shoot. They may need to.
Yeah, I'm more interested in teaching them how to be marriageable. We do a lot of like homemaking based education.
Good.
Yeah.
Wait, are you homeschooling?
No.
Okay. I was gonna say.
But my daughter she's 5 and she's already a pretty good cook.
Can she read?
Yeah, she's sounding out words.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm like, no, she doesn't need to learn to read.
Mine can't read yet. I mean, I think she can. She'll like say words. I think she's like subliminal.
Yeah.
We got to go. I just looked at the time, and holy mackerel. Robert sent $50. It's September. Do you guys remember the Dove commercial with the 6-foot-tall GameStop? It's ma'am, tranny.
Oh, yeah.
Changing a baby's diaper as his wife proudly watches. Soap company, by the way. Get woke, go broke my ass. These companies just wait until we forget 07. Yeah.
We don't forget. I never bought Dove again after that.
Fuck Dove. Nope.
I do shop at Target, though, so what can I say?
IdahoTallow.com for soap and skin balm.
Cameron, do you want to peace out? You look tired.
Yeah, it's been like 3 hours.
All right, keep going.
We're close. Big Bad Lad sent $5. Like it or not, white nationalist e-girls are great for the movement. Disavow. We need more e-girls like Blonde, especially to reach women. Simp for your local white nationalist e-girl. Disavow.
Yeah. Okay, it pains me to say this, but women are going to be integral to the movement. Not as movement leaders. They are. Like, there is no family formation without based women.
Who's going to make the sandwiches?
Women. Yeah. Who's going to make the sandwiches?
Who's going to do the laundry?
Yeah.
Women.
I know. There has to be women in the movement.
Dave Riley.
Yeah, I know. That's going to be his new job, yeah.
Oh my
Get in the kitchen, make some pasta.
Hey, I did last night. I made some tortellini with some snap peas and red sauce from tomatoes that we grew here a couple years ago, and we canned it up. It was very good. It was very nice. Thank you for that, Big Mad Lad. Rivers of Blood sent $10. Did you see the Murdoch is coming out with a new video? Really stoked that they're coming back when we need them the most. Keep up the great work, you guys.
Is this
Bro,
true?
really?
Be still my heart.
I loved watching Murdoch. Back in like 2017,
oh man, it was
the
so
funniest
good.
stuff.
You remember that one where they burned Lauren Southern at the stake?
Yeah.
That was classic.
I loved all the ones where like Dr. William Luther Pierce and they like time travel and shit. It's like, it's funny stuff.
That makes me so happy.
I don't know who made that stuff, but yeah.
If the creators of Murdoch are watching, you have brought me so much joy over the years.
Can you add us as characters and then obviously like turn me into a retard and then you can shit on me and it's funny?
No.
You can do one of those little like Canadians on South Park where their head is detached. Anyway, where do you even go to watch Murdoch anymore? Because they've been banned everywhere. I don't think they're on.
Someone's got to have it. Well, I'll find
We'll find
you.
it. Okay. Anonymous sent $5. Can we take a moment to appreciate Dave's live producing of the show despite wearing gay glasses?
Oh.
Hashtag Team Alex. See, this is what I'm talking about. These producers down there at Infowars, they watch us and then they find ways to incorporate what we, Matt Walsh's producers work.
Dave's channeling his inner Tyler Durden, man. Did you notice that the most alpha guy in film history wears women's sunglasses?
We are everywhere. We make your food. We wash your car. We are going to cut your balls off if you don't give us what we want. No, I'm kidding.
Do not fuck with us.
George Sorrell sent $5. $4 billion. Would it interest you to tell that not a single cent invested in Israel, but 900% is transferred to Lockheed, Boeing, and Raytheon? How is America paying itself represent an enthrallment to Israel? Can you explain? I would explain if you could work on your English, maybe, work on your phrasing here. Are you saying 900 or 900? Are you saying like almost 100% is transferred to Lockheed, Boeing, and Raytheon? I don't really understand the question.
Is that like
George.
some kind of psyop to make you sound like you're,
anti-American? Yeah.
Read it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like you can't read.
It could be. It could be. This could be an incognito message from Spokane Zionists. It might be. Listen, Boeing, Raytheon, and Lockheed suck. They make money bombing little children. I don't like them. I've never liked them. Richard Butler used to work for them, actually. William Luther Pierce also used to work for Boeing. Funny how that works. But anyway, fuck them. And
Boeing aircraft is falling. Boeing aircraft is falling apart. Mid. You know about that, right?
Is it time to short? Is their stock finally being?
They're in big trouble. I mean, Trump is trying. He's trying to negotiate a deal with the Chinese to buy. I think it's like $500 million worth of Boeing equipment. I mean, these companies, they need to go under. This is the story, right? Is it the legacy state, the legacy structure, these state-owned enterprises? like Boeing, these legacy companies, they're done.
This woman is over here looking at real estate.
No, it's a special thing.
She's looking at real estate.
It's real estate IO.
We got like a couple $100 of super chats, Blonde.
No, it's real estate IO. It's different. I was doing a work-related thing.
Matt Christensen fan sent $5.
Oh, no.
I've been really missing Matt's content to the point where I watch this to cope. I've resorted to reading the last comments on his vid to cope. Here they are, quote, since Blonde's departure, your context is extinct, and, quote, you look like a diddler. Bro.
Oh, yeah, that makes me really happy.
George Sorrell sent $5. I apologize if I wasn't clear. Every dollar sent to Israel is transferred to Lockheed, Boeing, and Raytheon. How does this represent Israel dominating American foreign policy? Surely if Israel were in control, they'd want a blank check.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it does go to Boeing, Raytheon, Lockheed, etc., but a lot of that also goes to Jewish cultural institutions. It goes to like the Jewish Agency. It goes to different the web of financial institutions linking America and Israel is so complicated and complex. This money flies off. So I would like to see somebody audit the fucking Pentagon.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even know where the Pentagon's money is. There's no way that 100% of all of this aid money is going to Lockheed and Raytheon.
No,
There's
no
no way
way
that that's happening. But a large portion of it does go to the defense. And that's one of the ways that it's justified among Americans, where it's like, well, we're not really giving it to Israel. We're giving it to them as a loan, and then they're buying bombs from us. But the whole thing is built on death. It's grotesque. We should not support that. Let me just check entropy one last time, and I think we are actually out of the woods on these super chats.
Thank you so much. That was such a fun show, you guys. Fine.
Oh, no. We got one from Corn Pop's Revenge. Keep up the great work. Wheel Gun Nationalist sent $10. Great show, guys. Wheel Gun Nationalist sent $19. No message. Thank you very much. Yes, and now we are all caught up.
Wow, you guys were super supportive tonight. We're getting closer and closer to that goal. It makes me so happy. You can find us on X at Real Backlash. Our website, thebacklash.net, has all of our links. Find us on Instagram on our new Instagram page. It's real.backlash. Check it out there. And our TikTok, which is doing surprisingly well, at Backlash Pod. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the donations. We will see you on Monday. Arval's going to be...
Wait, are we doing it? So are we going to have...
Arval's coming in studio. Yeah.
What about JF?
And JF can come on too if he wants.
Let's do that. That'd be like a fun, crossover.
Okay, cool. We'll see you on Monday with Arval.
And don't forget, we've got this thing going on. I dropped it down. We're going to have a private gathering on Monday with Arval. He's going to give a little conference or whatever on RTTL. Potentially.
He might do a speech. We might put it behind a paywall.
We might. So if you want information on that, if you're in the area, if you're in like Washington, Oregon, or Idaho, and you want to come by on Monday, send us an email to info@thebacklash.net, and we'll get back to you.
Good show. Thanks for joining us. See you guys on Monday.